What is up, you guys? Music too high. Redeem. We need to first redeem. Music too high. Demanding people in Twitch chat. You guys, I've already seen clips from this debate. I'm very excited to watch it in full. And I don't even I don't even know why Hasan is coming up in the New York City mayoral debate, but okay. We have to discuss the kitchen table issues like Collargate and, the Hasan 9/11 clip. I'm just trying to help. I appreciate you. It's always people on Twitch that are being the most demanding about the music, about how they want the timer to be on my waiting screen, like all sorts of stuff like that. I just got here. Do you condemn Hasan Piker? I condemn Hasan Piker. I condemn Collargate. I condemn hummus. Yeah, I condemn it all. Okay, let's get into this. He fried his dog into a block of charcoal. That's what I saw. That's what I've been hearing. So, yes, I was going to endorse Cutis, but then I saw that he wasn't wearing the beret, so I don't know. It's all going to depend on how he does here. Let's make the speed on this just a little bit faster. Maybe 1 point. I just want to do 1.10. There we go.
Government Affairs reporter Melissa Russo, senior politics editor at Politico Sally Goldenberg, and Telemundo 47 anchor Rosarena Breton. This is a 2-hour debate live on all NBC New York and Telemundo 47 streaming and digital platforms, Politico.com, Telexitos, and YouTube. The first hour is also live on Channel 4 and Telemundo 47. We do have a few rules for the candidates. For traditional question and answer, you'll have 1 minute to respond, and we'll offer 30-second rebuttals at the moderator's discretion. We'll also be asking questions where we will be looking for shorter answers. We also reserve the right to cut off your microphone if you ignore the rules, but candidates, you know we don't want to do that. The goal is for you to hear each other and for New Yorkers to hear everything you have to say. Good luck. We'll begin with Melissa Russo.
Thank you, David, and good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. We begin tonight by asking you to do what every mayor dreams of, and that is to write your own headlines. Imagine it's January 2027, and you have been in office for exactly 1 year. We would like you to quickly give us one headline about what you think your biggest accomplishment will have been in year number 1. We'll begin with you, Mr. Cuomo.
First, thank you very much for sponsoring the debate and having all of us. The one headline, how many characters in the headline?
You're familiar with headline length.
Rent down, comma, crime down, comma, education scores up, comma, more jobs in New York City.
Now we're getting maybe a little over the average headline length, but
optimism high.
Thank you. Mr. Sliwa.
Cutis Sliwa is without his iconic red beret. Because I'm talking to the people of New York City.
Hasan was there. I saw a Hasan tweet on my timeline. He was not wrong about the beret tan line.
About the really serious issues of affordability, the cost of living, and obviously what I've spent most of my life doing, which is public safety in the streets and the subways.
We would love a headline from you. What will your headline be, your big headline in year number 1 as mayor?
Cutis Sliwa exceeds all expectations and looks very mayoral tonight.
Mr. Mamdani, you've had some time to think about it now. What's your headline?
It's a pleasure to be here, first of all, and I really want to thank the moderators and the opportunity to speak directly to New Yorkers about this moment in time and our opportunity to transform the most expensive city in the United States of America. The headline would read, in about a year, Mamdani continues to take on Trump, delivers on affordability agenda for New Yorkers.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Sally?
Thank you, Melissa. We're going to talk about leadership. Voters have reservations.
That simple question exposes all, man. The fact that Sliwa and Cuomo struggled with such an elementary question is bizarre.
About all three of you as chief executive of New York City, a city with roughly 300,000 employees and a budget bigger than many countries. We have questions for each of you, and Mr. Cuomo, we will begin with you. As a former governor of New York, you obviously have the management experience, but you resigned from office amid sexual harassment and COVID-related scandals. Why should voters now
get ready for the most blue Trump shit you've ever seen?
Trust that you have the character to be mayor? You have 1 minute.
Because he's I already know he's going to say, he's been going around. I saw this video on Majority Report where they asked him about this, and he's it was a political thing that was cooked up against me. It's not real. It's fake. They were lying.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the question. First, you are right. I left office. There was a report that was done that had allegations of harassment. I said at the time it was a political report and that there was no basis to it. It was then sent to 5 district attorneys. They all reviewed it. They found nothing. It was then litigated for 5 years. I was dropped from the cases. So none of that came to anything. When it comes to executive experience, I've run the Department of Housing and Urban Development, built housing all across the nation. I was governor for 11.
Like, if it was bullshit, why did you resign over it? Why didn't you fight it at the time? He resigned and then he he went into seclusion and then he came out to fucking haunt this race.
7 years, the budget is double what it is in New York City, and I got government to work. I passed groundbreaking laws, minimum wage, paid family leave, built projects that had never been built before. This is no job for on-the-job training. And if you look at the failed mayors, they're ones that had no management experience. Don't do it again.
Thank you. Rosarinda?
Thank you, Sally. In the theme of leadership, Mr. Mamdani, you work as a foreclosure prevention counselor for a winning seat in the State Assembly. You have no substantial management experience. How are you ready to lead the nation's largest and greatest city in the world in one day? You have a minute.
You know, I have the experience of having served in the New York State Assembly for 5 years and watching a broken political system, the experience of seeing a governor in Andrew Cuomo who would rather have served his billionaire donors and the working class New Yorkers who voted for him, and the experience amidst all of that of fighting and winning for working class taxi drivers to free them from predatory debt and delivering the first free bus lines in New York City history, and working with unions and working class New Yorkers to finally raise taxes just that little bit on Mr. Cuomo's donors to start to fully fund our public school. And more than that, I have the experience of being a New Yorker.
The Trump era and experience doesn't hit the same, to be honest. Oh my God, you guys, did you know it's almost 1 a.m?
Was actually paid rent in
the
city.
It's like, we have a game show TV host as a president. Anybody can run. That kind of always should have been the case, because the whole point of the office of the presidency is that technically anybody could ascend to it. And you do have examples like Obama and Clinton, people that were of limited means and had exceeded expectations, but they also had like a ton of money behind them when they ended up running. Like Mamdani doesn't have that sort of backing, so I feel like he is the true kind of like, I don't want to say rags to riches, because it's not like he's wealthy now, but he is actually somebody who is able to defy odds when it comes to reaching an office like this.
Before I ran for mayor, someone who has had to wait for a bus that never came, someone who actually buys his groceries in this same city. And what all of that experience has shown me, which Mr. Cuomo can't seem to understand, is that it is far too expensive and far too hard for New Yorkers to afford to live in this city. And the definition of experience is not doing the same thing again and again and hoping for a different result. That's actually the definition of insanity.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
If I can, I think I was invoked.
Yes.
In other words, what the Assemblyman said is he has no experience. And this is not a job for someone who has no management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget. He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother. This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane.
Split screen is deadly, man. Like him just smiling and Cuomo just like absolutely scrambling to try to find something to use against him. And it's like, dude, the experience that you have sucks ass, so that's not really an asset to you. You resigned in disgrace. I think people would rather give a chance to somebody who's younger, new, and doesn't have that sort of baggage than a guy who was the fucking governor who had to resign because he sexually harassed a bunch of women and killed a bunch of people in nursing homes.
A health pandemic. If you don't know what you're doing,
Cuomo.
people could die.
Mr. Mamdani, you want to respond?
And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
Yes. May I? First, what you said was totally false, as you know.
Which part was false?
During COVID, everyone did whatever they could in this state. And there have been numerous investigations where they've gone through it.
It's not just the mistake. The real reason why he got into a bunch of trouble for that is because he tried to cover it up after the fact. It wasn't just that he made a fatal error in directing these elderly patients from one place to another and then spread COVID. It was that he actually interfered with the investigation surrounding it.
And they said we followed federal guidance. But yes, people died during COVID, and my heart breaks for everyone that died
people
in this
die
state
all the time.
and across this nation.
But just to be clear, Mr., just to fact check that, there is
a criminal investigation reportedly underway at the DOJ about your testimony to Congress about your nursing home record.
Yeah, but that is a political issue with the Congress. They made a referral, which has gone absolutely nowhere. But there have been multiple investigations where the DOJ found that the nursing home investigation was politically motivated.
Okay, we're going to move on. We might have time to come back to it. I do need to move on to Mr.
But may
Sliwa.
I just finish my rebuttal? But the Assemblyman still says he has no experience to do the job.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Sliwa, as founder of the Guardian Angels and as a radio host, you've been a well-known figure in New York City for decades.
I don't know the what? What are they talking about? Prior to founding the Guardian Angels, he was the night manager of a McDonald's restaurant on Fordham Road in the Bronx. He probably ran this shit like the fucking Navy. American nonprofit volunteer org with the goal of unarmed crime prevention. This org was founded by Sliwa in 1979. How old is he? He's 71 years old. Since then, it's expanded to more than 130 cities and 14 countries worldwide. How have I never heard of this?
But you also lack substantial management.
What do they do? This just seems like safety patrol, like this fucking the logo with like the Illuminati eye. It's wicked racist.
Experience. So how are you prepared to be the chief executive officer of New York City? You have 1 minute, Mr. Sliwa.
First of all, I created the Guardian Angels to provide public safety in the subways and streets when government was incapable of doing so. I didn't do it to get a title or a paycheck. Secondarily,
they commit hate crimes on live TV like Sliwa did by beating up someone on Hannity. What the fuck, you guys? What? Like, how is it that I feel like New Yorkers, man, the people that they're willing to give a chance to ascend to the office of like both the governor and to be the mayor, between like Rudy Giuliani, Eric Adams, Bloomberg, the fact that these two chuckle fucks are on the stage. Zohran is like the only one who comes off as like professional, who comes off like a statesman, as opposed to these other candidates. It's just crazy to me. It just anybody can have this job, any fucking crackpot.
I don't declare myself to be all-knowing. I will hire the very brightest and best in their fields who have dedicated their lives to trying to improve the city of New York or the state.
Wait, what is this? Cutis Sliwa's vigilante group wrongly attacks man during Fox News live shot. What the fuck? Okay, let's see. What's the tea?
News was interviewing Cutis Sliwa, the head of the New York City-based vigilante group known for targeting migrants. And they were discussing migrants in New York City when suddenly this happened.
Guys have just taken down one of the migrant guys right here on the corner, 42nd and 7th. While all this
Can you pan the camera?
They've taken over.
EOLS, thank you for subscribing. Or resubscribing? Yeah, you've been subscribed for 6 months. Thank you so much. Miss your 100-hour streams, but you do you. Keep streams up daily. Grind. Keep up the grind. Thank you so much.
They've taken over. You'd like the camera over there if at all possible.
Yep. Oh, you got your key open, guys.
It's out of control. Out of control.
So later, he was brought back for an update.
And this is recent? This is February 8th of last year.
Well, he had been shoplifting first. The Guardian Angels spotted him, stopped him. He resisted. And let's just say we gave him a little pain compliance. His mother back in Venezuela felt the vibrations. He's sucking concrete. The cops scraped him off the asphalt. He's on his way to jail.
So according to the New York City Police Department, none of that is true. Senior media reporter here at CNN, Oliver Darcy, is here to tell us what actually happened there. Oliver, Fox News, very willingly stepping into this setup.
Yeah, and I think this is actually really representative, Abby, of how the Fox News universe and really the right-wing media universe at large operates. They hype a story, right? Hours later, the story falls apart. In this case, there is no migrants, according to the New York City Police Department. There was no shoplifting, according to the New York City Police Department. This guy was just interfering, I guess, with the camera shot, and there was an altercation is what happened, according to, again, the police department. And so the story falls apart, and then they just move on.
Pretend like
they just pretend it didn't happen, right? Like, so Fox News was hyping it this morning on the front page of their website. The story just gets quietly edited. They don't put a correction on it. Sean Hannity, I was watching tonight, he doesn't mention
Fox
that this
News
entire
cinematic
episode
universe
that was viral on his show was built on a lie. He just moves on, and he's going back to more anti-immigrant rhetoric, just a different story.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And this
I shouldn't be that surprised because I did see a clip of him being like, if I become mayor, I'm going to literally add 10,000 cops to the NYPD or something like that. So I don't know why I'm kind of surprised by this.
State or the federal government or the private sector.
Especially a guy like this who comes off this kind of no nonsense, tough on crime, old school type dude from again, he was forming groups in the fucking late 70s.
Well, what I will say is, thank God I'm not a professional politician. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of no cash bail, which has been a disaster. We have the architect and the apprentice here of Raise the Age. My own son was almost killed because of that in a gang attack. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of Close Rikers Island, which would just release criminals in the street. Thank God I'm not a professional politician because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face, and I will
Thank you,
resolve.
Mr. Sliwa.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa. Candidates, President Trump has expressed intense interest in this election and in all of you personally. Mr. Mamdani, the president called you, quote, my little communist. Mr. Sliwa, he said you're, quote,
Kami Mamdani.
Not exactly prime time. And Mr. Cuomo, he has been critical of you, but said you have always gotten along. The president has threatened to cut federal funds to the city. And just yesterday, he killed the Gateway Project, the tunnel connecting New York to New Jersey. You've all promised to resist him in some way. What would you say in your first official call with the president to set the tone for your relationship moving forward? We'll give you a minute for this. We'll start with you, Mr. Mamdani.
I would make it clear to the president that I am willing to not only speak to him, but to work with him if it means delivering on lowering the cost of living for New Yorkers. That's something that he ran his presidential campaign on, and yet all he's been able to deliver thus far has been prosecuting his political enemies and trying to enact the largest deportation program in American history. And what distinguishes me from Andrew Cuomo is the fact that he has gotten on the phone with that same president, not asking him how to work together to help New Yorkers, or not telling him that he would refuse to back down to protect those New Yorkers, but instead asking him how to win this race. That's something I can do myself. I don't need the president's assistance for. And what I'd tell the president is if he ever wants to come for New Yorkers in the way that he has been, he's going to have to get through me as the next mayor of the city.
All right, Mr. Cuomo, we'll give you a little extra time, but I'd like you to answer this question as well, what your first conversation with the president would be like.
Okay. First, I never had a conversation with the president that the assemblyman was talking about. But he has a distant relationship with the truth.
I really hope he gets a chance to respond to that and bring up the fact that, he's already been caught on hot mics and fundraisers saying that, yeah, Trump, and I have an understanding or whatever.
I would say to the president in the first conversation, look, we have had many, many battles. We fought together every day during COVID. And the battles were bloody. And I'd like to avoid them. If you come after New York, you know what I'm going to do. You know it's going to be ugly. And my chances are almost 50-50, even though you're the president. I'd like to work with you. I think we can do good things together. But number one, I will fight you every step of the way if you try to hurt New York.
Unless he weaponizes the justice system to go after the attorney general of the state, in which case you'll issue a statement that doesn't even name the president. And no matter what you think about Donald Trump, you know that not even being able to name him is an act of cowardice. And that's what we would see from Donald Trump's puppet on the right.
I do want to get Mr. Sliwa, but Mr. Cuomo, I'll give you a few seconds to respond to that.
Yeah, I said political weaponization of the justice system is wrong. Both sides do it. It's wrong when Donald Trump does it. It's wrong when they did it to Comey. It's wrong when Comey did it to Hillary.
Okay.
It was wrong when it happened to Tish James.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. I want to give Mr. Sliwa a chance to answer this.
The idea that you're going to put that on the same, that's not even responsive to say why you wouldn't bring up his name if you think it's wrong.
For your first official conversation with the president, what would you say to set the tone?
Well, first of all, there's high levels of testosterone in this room. I've had a love-hate relationship with Donald Trump that goes back over 30 years. But I know one thing.
Yeah, he says both sides, and then the only examples that he had, Comey's a Republican, Donald Trump's a Republican, and then he said, Was there a third one or whatever?
We have Andrew Cuomo. We have Zohran
Because in both instances, it was Trump going after the prosecutor, and then I think Letitia, is that her name? James? I can't think of her name. The one who was just recently prosecuted. That's all, or going after Hillary, that was Republicans.
They want to take on Donald Trump. Look, you can be tough, but you can't be tough if it's going to cost people desperately needed federal funds. Zohran Mamdani, the president, has already said he's going to take $7 billion out of the budget.
Yeah, Letitia James.
From the start, if you're elected mayor. People are going to suffer in this city. People who need those federal funds. What I would do is sit and negotiate. I would say, look, Mr. President, we need that Gateway Tunnel. It moves millions of people from Washington, D.C. to Boston. But take away the Q train project. We don't need those 3 stations going from...
Wasn't Cuomo pushed into stepping down from governor? How is he even consideration for mayor? Because you have a bunch of donors that don't want a democratic socialist Muslim to be able to ascend to this office. So he is backed by a bunch of money to be in this race still. And Eric Adams has dropped out because he was running as an independent as well. So when Cuomo couldn't crack it in the fucking Dem primary, then he still stayed in, and now he's running as an independent, but he still has all those moneyed interests behind him. He had people the CEO of Netflix was donating money to him. I think the Walton family, the people, the Walmart family or whatever, donated a bunch of money to his campaign. I think Bloomberg donated money. He's a ton of, the reason why he's in this election is because I don't know, somebody tapped him to do it, and that he has all of these wealthy donors that are willing to back him.
96th Street to 125th. It's not an necessity.
But he's still trailing a lot in the polls.
Sit with the president and whoever he delegates and try to negotiate. But if you try to get tough with Trump, the only people...
I can't imagine that most New Yorkers can't see through this bullshit. I can, because again, when you look at the track record of who New York City has elected to make their mayor, it has not always been diamonds, man. Again, Giuliani, Bloomberg, Eric Adams, these people are fucking whack jobs.
We're going to suffer from that. The people of New York City.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa, thank you. Brief response.
The thing that gives me hope is that they have a short temper. So hopefully Cuomo, if people can be reminded of Cuomo's failings when he was the governor and the fact that he had to resign in disgrace, I think that he's going to be rejected.
Mr. Mamdani.
Mr. Trump is already suspending infrastructure grants to this city, and he's doing it in a blatant act of political retribution. And what it requires is leadership that will stand up to him. And I disagree with Mr. Sliwa. We do need to extend the 2nd Avenue subway to 125th Street.
Welcome, Radical Coder viewers. We are watching the Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and Cutis Sliwa New York City mayoral debate.
It was a promise made to Harlemites decades ago.
Okay.
It's time to actually fulfill
Thank
it.
you, Mr. Mamdani.
Okay, quick question for each of you. Mr. Cuomo, you've been asked this before.
He mentioned my name. Don't I get a chance to respond?
Well, we got a lot of ground to cover, Mr. Sliwa.
When was the last time you spoke with President Trump, Mr. Cuomo? You've been asked this before, and the last time you said you couldn't remember?
I believe it was during his assassination attempt.
So last year in 2024. Mr. Sliwa, when was the last time you spoke with President Trump?
Many years ago, we were receiving awards. I was praising him for saving the annual Veterans Day parade. Those were the conversations that I had with him. Can I please respond? I was asked about the Q train.
Okay, real quick.
Mr. Mamdani?
I am the mayor of mass transit. We do not need a Q train. I'm in the subways every day. We have more than a capable system of transporting people.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
The infrastructure needs to be fixed in the system that we have.
Mr. Mamdani, have you ever spoken with President Trump?
No.
Okay, there you go. Sally.
Thank you. Mr. Cuomo, a follow-up to that. President Trump has spoken positively about you and your candidacy, even as his Justice Department, as we've noted, is reportedly investigating you for allegations you lied to Congress over your COVID record.
People always tune into NYC presidential, I think you mean mayoral, debates this much, or is it just because of Mamdani? I think it's because of Mamdani and also Cuomo. Because it's always going to be a big race, but I don't think that there's been this much hype in a long time, because Mamdani has received more votes in the primary race than I think any other candidate ever has.
Dynamic. How would you be able to stand up to this White House? How are you not compromised? And just take into account that New Yorkers are troubled by what they view as a compromised relationship the current outgoing mayor has with the president.
Yeah. First, you're wrong when you say there's any investigation of me. That's not true.
Do you have evidence there is no investigation?
I've heard absolutely nothing. Congress did a press release. They said they sent a letter to the Department of Justice, which they do routinely to generate press, and that's what that is.
Yeah, the media is very unfair to Andrew Cuomo.
I fought Donald Trump. He investigated me repeatedly. with the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice Inspector General said that it was actually politically motivated. That does not back me up. When I'm fighting for New York, I am not going to stop. And I'll tell you something else. If the assemblyman is elected mayor, Donald Trump will take over New York City, and it will be Mayor Trump who runs New York City.
We have to move on. Just very quick follow-up.
No, he is under investigation. Justice Department opens inquiry into Cuomo, signaling out another political target. After killing a criminal case against Mayor Eric Adams, the Trump admin has begun investigating his chief rival in the NYC mayoral race over his testimony about the pandemic. This is reported May 20th of this year.
Yes or no? You're saying unequivocally the Justice Department is not investigating you, correct?
I've heard absolutely nothing.
They could be, and you might not have heard it. But okay, we'll move on. David?
Okay. Thank you, Sally.
That is virtually impossible, by the way.
Okay.
So, Mr. Cuomo, you did put out an ad the day after the news first broke in the New York Times that you were under investigation, calling it a political investigation, saying they were coming after you as they had to, after other Democratic politicians. You haven't denied this previously.
That the Republican Congress was. Yes, I believe they play politics with the justice system.
Okay, but why are you saying that you're not under investigation? Why not just say you are, but it's political?
I believe the Republican Congress does it. I believe Donald Trump does it. I believe the Democrats do it. And that's why I think people are sick and tired.
Thank you,
Both sides do it. But yet again, even in this case, it is still Republicans that are doing it.
Justice system and the politics.
If you
He's like,
think
yet
that
to name a single time when Democrats have done this.
There's no difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, then that's the candidate for you. If you think it's time to have a Democratic Party that actually stands up to Donald Trump and his billionaire-backed assault on working people,
well, first
that's the candidate.
You're not a Democrat, right? You're not a Democrat. You're a Democratic socialist.
We have
you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, right?
We have other ground to cover. No, we have other ground to cover.
No, he didn't endorse Kamala Harris. He did. I'm sure he voted for her.
Incendiary charge. I want to be very.
You may have a chance to address it, but we do.
I'll be very
a lot
quick.
of issues to get to with New Yorkers. Mr. Mamdani.
I'll be very quick.
You didn't say leave it blank in the Kamala
I'll be very
campaign?
quick. I said leave it blank in the presidential primary because primaries are a place to air dissent. And like many Americans, I was horrified by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. And if you want to look for me on the ballot, you'll find me as the Democrat.
Mr. Mamdani, thank you. We have to move on. This week, the world is reacting to President Trump's Israel-Hamas peace deal and the release of the hostages. And many are cautiously optimistic about a lasting peace. Of course, the mayor has no direct role in foreign affairs, and we certainly have a lot of questions for you about city matters.
You have no role in this, but nonetheless, we're going to ask you about it anyway.
But this war has been a major topic in the campaign, and there are criticisms about your positions in the past and how you envision leading on these issues as mayor. So we have questions for all of you, but first for Mr. Mamdani, because of something you said that's been generating headlines in the news today as we come into the debate yesterday on Fox News. You were asked if Hamas should lay down its weapons, key to the peace plan and ceasefire. And some say they found your answer confusing. You said, quote, I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas and that applies to the Israeli military. So for the voters tuning in tonight, Mr. Mamdani, what do you believe about Hamas and how lasting peace will be achieved? We know it's a complicated matter, but we'd like you to keep your answer to a minute if you could.
Of course, I believe that they should lay down their arms. I'm proud to be one of the first elected officials in the state who called for a ceasefire. And calling for a ceasefire means seizing fire. That means all parties have to cease fire and put down their weapons. And the reason that we call for that is not only for the end
What's
of the
confusing about that? The fact that he wasn't just unequivocally and uncritically Israel good, Hamas, Palestinians all bad.
Genocide, but also an unimpeded access of humanitarian aid. I, like many New Yorkers, am hopeful that this ceasefire will hold. I'm hopeful that it is durable. I'm hopeful that it is just. And for it to be just, we also have to ensure that it addresses the conditions that preceded this. Conditions like occupation, like the siege, and apartheid. And that is what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah. If I may, that means from the river to the sea.
I'm being marginalized. It's a debate of three. Excuse me, Andrew. It's a debate of three. Do we acknowledge that? Three people?
Mr. Sliwa, go ahead, and we'll give you a second. Go ahead, Mr. Sliwa.
The President of the United States should have been applauded by you, Zohran Mamdani, and you, Andrew Cuomo, on the day that he brought together that international coalition that met in Egypt, that came from the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. I certainly applauded him for bringing peace to Gaza and trying to end the hostilities in the war between the Israelis and Hamas, so there can be peace between the Israelis and peace between the Palestinians. But you seem, Zohran, to be incapable.
This guy's supposed to be like an anti-Trump Republican, as far as I know.
Of praising our president.
And
Andrew, You were incapable of praising our president.
Gentlemen, we have
Give credit where credit is due. He's brought peace to Gaza.
Yeah, gentlemen, we want to hear everything you have to say. We have other questions on this matter.
You have to give Putin credit for ending the war in Ukraine that he started, you guys.
Mr. Cuomo, please, brief response, because we do have other questions on this issue that you may be able to address. Go ahead.
I did applaud President Trump and his administration. I think it was a great accomplishment. I hope the peace holds. The assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hasan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on...
Why hasn't the assemblyman commented on Collargate? Why hasn't Zohran Mamdani said #free Kaya?
Occupation. That is code, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish...
I'm not gonna lie, Sliwa is so funny to me. Honestly, I'm not... Maybe this sounds fucking crazy, but Cuomo is such a piece of shit. He is such a disgrace. He brings shame to fucking Democrats. He has a horrible record, and he's a horrible person and politician that I don't know that, like, if you're, like, I'm pretty sure even in the general, there's still ranked choice voting, right? It should be Mamdani and then Sliwa. Honestly, I think if I were in there, even with everything that I know about him, I don't think he'll win, for one. Two, Cuomo is just, like, I don't know. This would be like asking me, do you vote for, like, Fetterman? Knowing that that's what he's going to turn into. Because the idea that, like, oh, Cuomo's not as bad as Sliwa, right? Maybe, like, right now, but you have no idea what he's going to do once he gets into office, especially given what he's shown that he's willing to do. This reminds me of, like, fucking Eric Adams, you know? Like, if you could know what the trajectory that, like, Eric Adams was going to take, tell me you wouldn't have maybe fucking considered voting for, like, Sliwa over Eric Adams.
State, which he has never acknowledged. That is from the river to the sea. That's why he won't denounce globalize the intifada, which means kill all Jews.
Let's give Mr. Mamdani a chance to respond to that.
I want to be very clear. The occupation is a reference to international law and the violation of it, which Mr. Cuomo has no regard for since he signed up to be Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense team during the course of this genocide. And I find...
it's like when people say they prefer overt racism over hidden racism. I think it's one of those things that's like, I'm not trying to praise somebody for being like, oh, well, they're both evil, but at least one of them's honest about it. It just seems to me that with Sliwa, you know exactly what he's going to get because he seems like he's a fucking straight shooter and he is just yet another shitty Republican. But when it comes to Cuomo lies constantly. So even the promises that he's making that sound like they might not be as bad if he were to become the mayor, which I don't think is likely to happen, you can't even guarantee that he's going to follow through on that because the dude puts himself at, like, first every single time, and he has all of these political liabilities that you have no idea what he's willing to trade away to save his own fucking tail.
The comments that Hasan made on 9/11 to be objectionable and reprehensible. And I also think that part of the reason why Democrats
you have to be a terrible person to make the Republican candidate famous for having his own vigilante militia seem more left-wing than you.
In the situation that we are in, of being a permanent minority in this country, is we are looking only to speak to journalists and streamers and Americans with whom we agree of every single thing that they say. We need to take the case to every person, and I'm happy to...
Mamdani actually co-signs everything that Hasan has ever said, ever.
To do that, which is why I was on Fox News yesterday talking about how I wish it was more like NASCAR so we could see all the billionaires who are sponsoring you right on your suit jacket.
Melissa has another
We're going to turn it to Sally, actually.
Yeah, actually, this kind of flows, and then we'll go back to Melissa. Mr. Mamdani, you told NBC's Meet the Press that you don't believe it's the role of the mayor to police speech. Your words about this war have comforted many New Yorkers, but they've troubled others, and I want to ask about some of this. There is your recent refusal, as we just discussed, to condemn the slogan, globalize the intifada, which many view as a call to arms. In 2017, you rapped lyrics praising the Holy Land Five. These are men who were convicted of supporting...
You rapped lyrics. Do you think Sliwa knows who Hasan is? Sometimes I don't even know if Sliwa even knows what year it is, given the things that he's, like, liable to say.
Terrorism. How would you assure New Yorkers, especially Jewish residents who might be concerned about this, that you would be a mayor for all? You have 1 minute to answer this.
Thank you for this opportunity. When I am speaking about the responsibility of leading this city, I mean leading not just those who voted for me, leading not just those who vote, but leading every single person who calls this city home. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers. And I have been so thankful for the opportunity I've had to sit with so many Jewish New Yorkers over the course of the primary and through the general. And it's in those conversations that I learned that this phrase evokes many painful memories. Memories of bus attacks in Haifa, of restaurant attacks in Jerusalem, and I heard from a rabbi about their roommate who was killed on one of those buses. And in hearing that and the distance between that impact and the rationale that some use of saying it, of speaking about the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land, is why I said that I would discourage this language that I do not use. And what I'm looking to do as the first Muslim mayor of this city is to ensure that we bring every New Yorker together. Jewish New Yorkers, Muslim New Yorkers, every single person that calls this city home, that they understand they won't just be protected, but they will belong.
Mr. Sliwa, we will get to you first. I'm going to ask a question of Mr. Cuomo. While you are a strong supporter of Israel, you have also been slow to develop a relationship with the city's Muslim community. You have called Mr. Mamdani a terrorist sympathizer. How do you assure those New Yorkers, especially Muslims and Arabic New Yorkers, that you will be a mayor for all? You'll have 1 minute.
Yeah, well, first, I think the Assemblyman created the perception himself. Why wouldn't he condemn Hamas? Why wouldn't he condemn Hasan Piker? Why did it take us here tonight for the first time for him to say it? He still won't denounce, globalize the Intifada, which means kill all Jews. Just say, I denounce it. He won't do it.
He still won't denounce October 7th.
That's the issue. And his divisiveness
Cuomo, can you address the question
is
that we're putting
chronic.
to you? I think you've made the point, but can you please answer
This
about...
is so desperate. It's insane to me that like Cuomo can't even get it together to do like retail politician shit. There's literally no reason to bring up this like terminally online shit. I don't even know why he thinks it's gonna play well. Whose vote is he trying to get?
Your own relationship with the Muslim community.
Like the people that know who Hasan is and support Cuomo are already voting for him.
Did not visit mosques for many years. More recently, you have been.
Yeah, I don't think in any way the Assemblyman is representative of the Muslim community, which is a vital community in New York
Holy
City.
fuck.
And I am very fond of, and I've been working.
Zohran's actually one of those bad Muslims, you guys. When you see him, definitely don't think that he like is indicative of how most Muslims are. Could you imagine if he said that about any other ethnicity, religion, or race? That's fucking insane.
With
you guys, like Cuomo is not, you know, I know that he's Italian and I know that, you know, you might not have like a great impression of Cuomo, but trust me, I know some like nice Italian people. He doesn't speak for all Italians. They don't claim him. Like, could you imagine if Mamdani said something like that?
He's playing his own politics. Many of his positions don't even follow the Muslim faith. So I see them as two totally separate things.
Mr. Mamdani, you want to respond?
You know, it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality, and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except you know, that is totally false. I've worked with the Muslim community for many years.
Name a single
Let
mosque
Sliwa speak.
You went to
Let Cutis talk.
Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here. They were
before I was here.
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community. Yeah. Imams presided over state.
Cuomo's research needs to be fired. It's like he's speaking from ChatGPT prompts. No, if you were speaking from ChatGPT prompts, he would actually be doing a lot better than he is here.
Of the states. We worked in religious working groups, tolerance groups, anti-Semitic groups, etc.
All right, gentlemen. Mr. Sliwa, Rosarita has a specific question for you, but I'll give you a second.
Zohran, this is what disturbs me about you. You will be celebrating your birthday this weekend. In 1991, I was in the streets of Crown Heights with the Guardian.
Having a stroke? Why is this happening?
Angels for 30 days and 30 nights. When the first Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, that's right, David Dinkins, was a proud member of the Democratic
David Dinkins, a birthday boy back in the 80s, but back when I was a boy, when I was in the Guardian Angels, like what are we talking about? What?
Of America. Abandoned the Jews for 3 days.
Abandoned the Jews?
They were left to their own means. And we protected them for 30 days and 30 nights. Then your favorite mayor, Bill de Blasio, in 2019, abandoned the Jews again when they were being attacked in Williamsburg, in Borough Park, and Crown Heights. And I had to bring the Guardian Angels in for 30 days, 30 nights. Jews don't trust that you are going to be there for them when they are victims of anti-Semitic attacks.
Okay. Brief response, Mr. Mamdani. We have a specific...
That was not where I thought the end of that story was going to land.
Question for you from Rosarita, but Mr. Mamdani, please.
I agree, by the way.
One of the most meaningful experiences I've had over the course of this campaign has been the conversations I've had with Jewish New Yorkers. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me about the door that they've had to lock that they had kept open for 40 years. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me on the M50...
To anybody who has ever felt like they're inadequate if you've ever had any self-doubt, just keep in mind that the guy who's just speaking, Cutis Sliwa, is standing on the New York City mayoral debate stage because he is the official Republican candidate that is running in that race. And he got there all by himself, as far as I know. So don't ever feel like you can't achieve your dreams when that is what, like, that dude is able to fucking ascend to the heights that he has.
57, about an apartment the speech therapist was trying to sell when a realtor told her, put the Jewish books off the table. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me...
I think it's like his 5th year running. Okay, then never give up, right?
...about their fear in living in this city. And I will be a mayor who finally addresses that, not through the theatrics of the politics on this stage, but through action. I'll do that by ensuring that we have police officers outside of synagogues on the high school.
11th?
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to, and we do have a specific question for Mrs. Sliwa. Rosarina.
Why? Why do we have specific questions for him?
Call for tougher policing of pro-Palestinian protests, and you've suggested that Mr. Mamdani uses languages that is anti-Semitic. How do you assure New Yorkers that you'll
like every single cringe shit that he says? Oh, you've called for there to be a crackdown against pro-Palestinian protesters. Is that honestly something that you would put past Cuomo doing? Like, I'm going to be keeping a mental tally in my head of like every single horrible position that Cutis has. I'm like, is Cuomo basically promising the same or like a slightly lighter version of that? Or is he saying he won't do it, but you could totally see him doing it?
The mayor for all.
Well, I've been there for all people in all times for 46 years as leader of the Guardian Angels here and around the world. Whether it is a religious violation of people's rights to worship as they choose in a mosque, in a church, in a synagogue, or a shul, whether it's because of racial identity. Remember, in the summer of 2020, Asians were under constant attack because of the lockdown and pandemic. I don't remember Governor Cuomo coming to their aid. You were the governor then. I was out there going into all the neighborhoods, Flushing, Bayside. We were in down in Bensonhurst. We were in Chinatown itself, where Asians were being attacked indiscriminately because they were thought to be carrying COVID. We protected them then.
I think he has makeup on to like deal with the fact that he has like a farmer's tan from that fucking beret.
Governor, you were not there for them. De Blasio was not there for them. We understand hate. And in order to counteract hate, you have to get the community involved.
This man will be an SNL skit this weekend. Oh, they're definitely furiously rewriting the cold open for SNL after this.
With the police to protect people when they're under siege. Jews are under attack now more than ever before. And I don't believe either of you have the capabilities of protecting them with increased anti-Semitism.
That is pure fiction. I passed the no hate in our state, the strongest hate crime law in the United States of America. We tolerate no hatred, no discrimination. We are
only sexual harassment
from every place on this globe, and
unless
we are
it's
proud
you
of
that's
it.
perpetrating
Excuse me, and we're tolerant and we accept. If you notice,
Zor with the fucking steel chair.
The assemblyman still won't say he believes that Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish state. He is a divisive personality all across the board. NYPD
he still hasn't condemned Hasan
Barack
Piker.
Obama is evil, liar, and he gave the finger.
Oh no, he said things like the NYPD is racist. Whoa, he's called Obama a liar. Like, dude, you don't gotta sell me on him anymore. Like, I would already vote for this guy.
To the Christopher Columbus statue.
By the way, Cuomo, your laws with no cash bail.
Holy fuck, did you just speak Italian?
Columbus statue.
By the way, Cuomo, your laws with no cash bail turn the haters right back in the streets to violate and attack again and again and again.
Thank you.
You're the reason for that. No cash bail.
Thank you. You don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Go ahead.
There have been a number of absolutely unfounded lies that have been said by Andrew Cuomo. I would just like a moment to address them directly. I've said time and again that I recognize Israel's right to exist. I've said that I will not recognize any states. I said that I will not.
As a Jewish state.
If I would be allowed to finish, that I would not recognize any state's right to exist with a system
Does
of
this play well, Cuomo being this fucking belligerent and interrupting like that?
hierarchy on the basis of race or religion. I have made that very clear. And part of that is because I'm an American who believes in the importance of equal rights being enshrined in every single country, whether we're speaking about Israel, whether we're speaking about Saudi Arabia. You can stand here and you can lie all you want, but New Yorkers know.
We have the question. We want
to address some issues here.
All right, and we have another polarizing issue that we would love to discuss with you candidates. And let's talk about the National Guard here in the city of New York. Now, let's go back to Mr. President Donald Trump. One threat hanging over the city City is the deployment of the National Guard troops, like he has done, as you all know, in other cities. The NYPD commissioner has rejected the idea as unnecessary, but the president ordered troops to hit the streets of New York. Now, how would you respond? Mr. Sliwa, you have a minute.
There's no need for the National Guard in New York. Kathy Hochul, the governor.
Because the guardian angels are going to be on the case, baby.
When we had a crime crisis in the subways that I'm well familiar with, being down there all the time, unlike my two adversaries, she sent 750 National Guardsmen down into the subways in 2024. Remember the horrible case of Debrina Kawam. Does anybody even say her name anymore? That woman who was set on fire by that migrant. As a result of that, the worst crime I've ever seen committed in the subway system. The governor did the right thing. She sent an additional 250 National Guardsmen, giving us a total of 1,000 National Guardsmen in the...
I mean, what he just described sounds horrific and terrible, but I've talked about this before. I hate any policy that is constructed because of a single incident. It almost always ends up being a complete overreaction, a bad policy, or a waste of resources, or like not an effective way to use them.
Subway system.
Salty Squid Stream, thank you for the 100 bits. I've seen New York rats up close. National Guard is doomed.
While Mayor Eric Adams was telling us it was all a perception. So Governor Hochul has responded. I would tell the President of the United States, since I'm familiar with cities all across America having guardian angels there.
Curtis rides the subways at night, keeping the city safe, and like his lazy opponents. I mean, if accompanied by Curtis on the New York City subway, I would feel safer instantly. Who wouldn't? Especially if he had his beret on. People would know not to fuck with me.
If you were going to send the National Guard, you don't need to send them to New York City. There are other cities that could desperately use their help in dealing with their crime crisis.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa. Mr. Mamdani, how would you respond?
You know, I agree with Police Commissioner Tish. And
two mayors of a VP equivalent. I want Sliwa to be the vice mayor. There should be two mayors. There should be one during the day and then one at night. I mean, the city never sleeps, right? And Sliwa can be the night shift mayor.
Do not need the National Guard here
safe
in New York City. We do not need them for the purpose of safety, because if it was safety that President Trump was so concerned about, he would send them to the 8 out of 10 states that have the highest levels of crime in this country, but he won't, because they're all run by Republicans. What New Yorkers need is a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump and actually deliver on that safety. When Donald Trump sent ICE agents on people in Los Angeles, Andrew Cuomo said that New Yorkers need not overreact. That is the furthest answer that New Yorkers are looking for. They are looking for someone who will lead, someone who will say that they will have their back, someone who will actually fight for the people of this city. And that's who I am, because I'm not funded by the same donors.
There is an Amsterdam. Amsterdam may come up later in this conversation. No, I swear I saw a clip of them already talking about like legalizing prostitution. Like, I'm waiting for people on Twitter to call Zoran a fucking swerve.
That gave us Donald Trump's second term, which isn't something that Andrew Cuomo can say.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Yeah, first the answer.
Are you calling for Batman? I am, and that Batman will be Cutis Sliwa. Tell me he's not qualified.
Subways is not more National Guard. I put the National Guard in the subways also. It's more NYPD is the answer. But the National Guard is not, he's not sending in the National Guard to do any real function. It's control, it's power. He's trying to say these Democrats don't know how to run these cities, and it's a political gesture by sending in the National Guard. He has said if the assemblyman is elected, he will take over New York. Forget the National Guard.
But this is
he has said, I'm going to
but he can't do that, so...
If they order the troops to come here, what would you do?
Well, I went through this with him. He sent the National Guard to 20 cities when I was governor. You know what city he didn't send them to? New York. Why?
Because he knew not
because
to fuck
I said
with
to
me.
him, don't you dare, we don't need it, and he backed down, and he will again.
So that proves a good relationship
Wait a
with
second. The president is going to back down to you, Andrew Cuomo. I know you think you're the toughest guy alive, but let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
Why
and
didn't
you have
you
a
send the
difficult
National Guard?
understanding that what the
Dude,
term
tell me he's not fucking cooking here.
is. You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump.
I agree with Curtis.
You're not.
He may tell jokes, but he tells no lies, people.
Stand up to Donald Trump.
Okay.
And he can't stand up to Donald Trump, who knocked him right on his tuchus.
You negotiate with him. You don't fight with him, because only the people of New York City will lose.
We do have a follow-up.
Baby, fucking put some respect on Curtis's name.
We have a follow-up.
I'd like to see a show of hands. Are there any circumstances where any of you would allow the NYPD to cooperate with the National Guard if Trump sent them to New York? Show of hands. Yes? No takers. Okay. Moving on. If history is a guide, National Guard troops in the city could trigger protests. And we have questions for each of you about how you would handle that. So, Mr. Sliwa, you have been arrested for protesting migrant housing and for trying to serve Mayor Bill de Blasio with court papers. How would your NYPD handle protests? And would you continue participating in protests as mayor? You have 1 minute.
Well, I have been arrested oftentimes in civil disobedience.
I was going to say, what protest is he known for going to or what?
Great American right.
Okay.
But demonstrations have a time and a place. And it used to be before Bill de Blasio, I know he was your favorite mayor, Zohran Mamdani, that you'd have to get a permit. There's a time period you were in a structured area. You get a sound permit. It could be
anti-migrant. Was he arrested in the name of protesting migrants being here? Give me a break.
Around in a day. If there was going to be civil disobedience, you discussed it with the police department. And obviously you had an opportunity of expressing your anger or your...
Wait, what? Did he just say if there's going to be civil disobedience, you discuss it with the police department beforehand?
Be turned around in a day. If there was going to be civil disobedience, you discussed it with the police department. And obviously you had an opportunity of expressing your anger.
Don't think that's true.
Anger or your outrage.
I don't think every example of notable civil disobedience in New York City had involved a sit down with the NYPD first, asking them if it was okay before they proceeded. But I could be wrong.
Whatever it was that motivated you to sit down in the street, to block traffic or block an egress. Now we have rampaging groups that go running through the streets, that enter all kinds of facilities and violate other people's rights. And there's no one who's willing to stop it. When I'm the mayor, there are rules and regulations. Everybody has the right to demonstrate, but you can't violate other people's rights, or you yourself must be arrested. And I would remove the face coverings. Remove those face coverings.
Get them
Why
off.
are you afraid of identifying who you are as a demonstrator, unless maybe you're an agent provocateur who's been sent in here to cause
Unless
chaos?
maybe you're CIA.
Thank you. Rosarina?
The next question goes to you, Mr. Mamdani.
This dude is like a fucking grab bag of like all over the place. Like, you need to be in compliance with the law when you're protesting. But then he started by saying that he's been arrested multiple times because he's been civilly disobedient and at different protests. And then another incident, and like he has the Guardian Angels are like a vigilante group that act outside of the law to pick up the slack where they feel the cops are not doing their job or whatever. But then he says no one's above the law. You have to be in compliance of it. This incoherent.
Arrested for blocking traffic in a pro-Palestinian protest, and you participated in a sit-in at Grand Central.
Oh shoot, Eddie Bombay, thank you so much for the $5. When darkness falls in the city of New York, one man watches streets. Protecting New Yorkers is like a beret protects a head from the harsh sunlight. He is Cutis Sliwa, nightmare. Dude, I'm here for it. He can be the nightmare. Nightmare. Not nightmare.
Protesters offered block streets, bridges, and hubs like Grand Central.
Remove face covering sounds suspiciously like something Batman would say to throw us off of his scent precisely.
How much of that would you allow as mayor? And what's your line in having the...
I thought he was talking about ICE for a moment. I bet Cutis would probably defend ICE being able to have fucking masks on, but would say that you as a protester, because you could be an agent provocateur and sneak up on him, have to take it off.
PD arrest protesters. You have a minute.
Protest is a part of what makes this city's history what it is. It is a part of the First Amendment. We deserve to have a mayor who stands up for that First Amendment, especially as we have a president that's looking to shred it at each and every opportunity. And we will continue to have protests in this city, as we should, no matter who is the mayor. And the line will be on the question of breaking the law. What we have today, however, is an attempt to intimidate so many who are looking to use that freedom of expression to share their opinions about the city and the world around them. And to be frank with you, what New Yorkers are looking for is someone who can show leadership in City Hall. Because when they don't see that leadership, that's when so many take to the streets. And if you had a leader like Andrew Cuomo, who was telling people not to overreact when they see ICE agents abducting girls as young as 6 years old to deport them, many New Yorkers will take to the streets. We deserve to have a leader.
I was going to say in Cuomo's answer when he's like, Donald Trump is just doing this for attention or for show, does that not have the effect of kind of downplaying everything he's doing? It's one thing to explain that you feel like it's a political stunt, but he kind of also says it with like a don't worry type tone, or like it's not a big deal. Like it's still happening, even if he has a bogus justification or reason for it, even if it is for political theater. I don't think he's reassuring, and I think it's good that he's capitalizing on pointing that out.
who will actually be following through on the values of the city. That's the leader that I'll be.
Mr. Mamdani, just a quick follow-up. If you're elected, would you still participate in protests?
No, if I'm elected, I'll be the mayor, and I'll be leading the city from City Hall.
But no participation in protests, right?
The important thing is to lead from City Hall. That's what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Yeah. If I may respond, because I believe my name
Weird question.
was invoked.
A very brief response, and then I have a question for you.
I dealt with ICE. I stood up with ICE. I had a war with ICE here in New York when I was governor. And I stood them down, and they moved out. What the assemblyman is saying is he doesn't believe in law and order. He believes in defunding the police, disarming the police, disbanding the police. That's who he is.
Cuomo,
abolish jails.
Sorry, question for you.
Abolish
15
jails.
seconds.
No, we have to.
It's prisons one, but like this idea that Mamdani is a jail abolitionist.
And we do just 15 seconds because we have a question for Mr. Cuomo.
Mr. Cuomo lies again and again and again. I am not running to defund the police. I am running to actually work with the police to deliver public safety. Andrew Cuomo says that he has stood up to ICE. He has not said a word about the abductions that are happening right now.
He's referring to a previous comment you made, and we will get back to this. But Mr. Cuomo, a question for you.
He was very specific. He said, I'm running on a different platform. He didn't say, I've never said that.
It's a comment he made. Is the operative language.
Yes, I understand. I said that. As governor, you put the National Guard on standby during the George Floyd protests. You didn't deploy them. As mayor,
he's a jail abolitionist. You guys.
Talk about how you would balance the right to protest with maintaining order in the streets.
The right to protest is a sacred right. There is no doubt about that. But the law is the law also. And you have New Yorkers now who are afraid in this city. They're afraid of Donald Trump coming. They're afraid of that anarchy.
Like, tell me this is really that different from what Cutis is promising. At that point, you may as well, you know what you're getting with Cutis. Okay, you're getting a shitty fucking Republican. When it comes to Cuomo, he says, like, he couches it. It's like, oh, you have the right to do that. I would never interfere with your First Amendment constitutional right to protest. But...
And they're afraid of the anarchy in the city itself. We have to provide public safety that makes New Yorkers feel safe. Demonstration is one thing. Violating the law is something else. Blocking public transit is something else. Stopping students from going to class is something else. Harassment, intimidation, that's a hate crime. That's illegal. Enforce the law. Respect the police. They're not racists, as the assemblyman calls them. They're not a threat to public safety, as he says. They're not anti-queer. They are here to protect New Yorkers, work with them, fortify them.
Why is he saying this? You guys, the NYPD is not anti-queer, according to Andrew Cuomo. Whose votes do you want?
You know, that's ironic that you say that now.
I'm sorry,
Andrew Cuomo, because when you were governor for 8 years.
Like the Blue Lives Matter crowd gives a fuck if the cops are pro-queer or not. Or like make that a... It's just so stupid.
Parole board released 43 cop killers back into the street. Your father, when he was governor, released none. I knew Mario Cuomo. You're no Mario Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo.
The rainbow line.
Don't say you're pro.
I'm sure there is some horrific iteration of the Blue Lives Matter flag that unironically includes like a fucking rainbow flag for Pride Month.
Donnie, do you want to respond briefly to the comments that Mr. Cuomo raised about things you've said about police? You can do a brief response to that.
I have been clear time and time again that as much as Andrew Cuomo wants to bring up tweets from 2020, which is around the same time that he was sending seniors to their death in nursing homes, I am looking to work with police officers, not to defund the NYPD, looking to ensure that officers can actually do one job when they're signing up to join that department.
But
not the many jobs we're asking them to do today.
He was specifically referring to comments you made. We will come back to that, but we're out of time.
They are wicked and corrupt
candidates,
and racist.
We're moving on.
That's what you said. Your words. We're
moving on. Thank you. Despite record low crime numbers.
Oh no, Zohran Mamdani accurately described the NYPD as racist a few years ago.
Polls show that crime remains a top concern for New York City voters. The three of you have very different approaches to crime fighting and how to manage the NYPD. We want to get into your plans.
Like, I'm just waiting for Cuomo to be like, Zohran Mamdani denies the lived experience of NYPD cops. He says that they are anti-queer. They're not. He says that they're racist and wants to defund them.
So we'll start with this question. It's a two-part question, but it's short. How will you make the city safer? And how will you change the NYPD? You'll have 1 minute. We begin with Mr. Cuomo.
I would add 5,000. Well, let's take a step back. Remember what happened. The far left, the socialists said defund the police, defund the police. They took $1 billion out of the police. The NYPD is now down at one of the lowest levels in modern political history.
The defund the police took $1 billion out of the NYPD.
I would add 5,000 police, put 1,500 in the subways, raise the starting salary because you can't hire them. You can't even fill a class right now. And you have
at some point, the same people that are making these promises to expand the NYPD, which is going to be fucking expensive as shit, are going to turn around and ask Zohran, how the fuck are you going to pay for free buses or whatever?
To add additional police officers because the attrition rate is so high. Part of that is going to be saying to the NYPD, I respect you. I don't think you're wicked, as the Assemblyman said. I don't think you're corrupt. I don't think you're racists. I value you.
Yeah, Zohran Mamdani literally performed No One Mourns the Wicked, and he was talking about any time an NYPD cop has been killed in the line of duty. He literally did that, you guys. That's a thing that Zohran Mamdani actually did back in 2020. And then during an intermission, he tweeted out that they're racist and he wants to defund the police.
Work with you. That's how you're going to get the police to apply for the jobs. And then we have to work on the relationship between the community and the police. The police can't police the community. They have to police with the community.
You're up next, Mr. Sliwa.
This is amazing. I'm standing here with my two adversaries, both of whom have threatened to defund the police. You, Andrew Cuomo, during the summer of 2020, said, if you don't reform police departments, I'm going to defund you. And you certainly said that, Zohran.
Curtis coming at it from the right on this.
Mamdani. We need 7,000 police. We only have 32,500. The problem in recruiting police, which neither of you are addressing, is that their insurance was stripped from them.
Is that even true, though?
The state, you did nothing when you were governor. And here in the city, 2021, the city council and Eric Adams did nothing. They don't have qualified immunity, which you benefited from, Andrew Cuomo, with the 13 lawsuits filed against you for sexual harassment.
I'm a gay Zionist small business owner married to a police officer. I am the Andrew Cuomo voter. You were on the fence, and then he reassured you that he doesn't believe that the NYPD is anti-queer, which aligns with your lived experience, and he won you over.
Mamdani says we're paying out $60 million. Why? Because you had your qualified immunity as governor, and yet people have stood by as police have lost their insurance that all civil servants have.
This is like helping Zohran so much because he's getting a chance to talk about his own agenda. He's not really gone on the attack that much against Cuomo, except when his name has been invoked and a couple of jabs here and there. But this is like... like Zohran's the defense and fucking Sliwa is the offense.
That's why you can't get recruits in, because they're not insured. I will return their qualified immunity.
Yeah, ironically, he is his attack dog.
They need to be protected like other civil servants.
That is not New York State. It's New York City on the qualified insurance.
It's like anytime Sliwa with the fucking assist.
Our qualified immunity. It's not insurance at all.
You are entitled to free legal counsel, which is what he's referring to.
Yes.
You have spent.
Yes, but it's New York City that has revoked qualified immunity. It's not insurance. It's qualified immunity. It has nothing to do with insurance.
Okay.
So that protected you in all these lawsuits.
And yes, the lawsuits, because there was a report filed. I said it was political. It turned out to be political. Okay. And that's why
all 13 women were lying? Come on, Andrew. All 13 women were lying.
After 5 years.
Curtis says believe all women.
State trooper too?
Yeah, after 5 years, 5 DAs, 5 years of...
How is he, like, he's literally coming off like he's to the left of Cuomo.
I was dropped from the case.
Mr. Mamdani, how will you make...
once in a while.
Okay, Mr. Mamdani, how will you make the city safer, and how will you change the NYPD?
Thank you. This is the concern for so many New Yorkers, and I'm proud to have a comprehensive plan to bring new ideas to this city. If you want more of the same, vote for Andrew Cuomo. If you want an actual approach to lower crime, look at our Department of Community Safety. That is something that has been hailed by experts as addressing so many of the pieces of...
Cuomo could make the city safer by moving out, LOL. He doesn't even live within city limits. He's literally crashing on his daughter or daughter-in-law's apartment as like a co-signer because he's not actually a resident of New York City. Like his actual home is like either in New Jersey or it's outside city limits.
Why New Yorkers are not feeling safe today. We will ensure that no longer are police officers asked to do the job of both policing and responding to the mental health crisis. We will have dedicated teams of mental health outreach workers in the top 100 subway stations with the highest levels of the mental health crisis and homelessness. We will ensure that cops can finally go back to the response times they used to have in 2020, closer to 11 minutes, as opposed to the closer to 16 minutes today, because they won't be asked to respond to the 200,000 mental health calls that are coming in through 911 every year. This is evidence-based. It's been successful.
Yeah, this is what it was. Like, March 7th of this year, Cuomo battles carpetbagger accusations after it's revealed he recently registered as an NYC voter. Fledgling mayoral campaign Andrew Cuomo is being slammed as carpetbagger after it emerged he only registered as a Big Apple voter in the fall and at the luxury Manhattan apartment where his daughter lived. The lease for the East 54th Street pad, reviewed exclusively by The Post, shows that Cuomo was the sole signatory on December 13, 2023. Cuomo's representatives told The Post that he lived part-time in the $8,000 a month ritzy rental complex along with his daughter, Kara Kennedy Cuomo, who's 30. The former governor, who split his time living in a Westchester home, started living in the apartment full-time during the fall, about when he registered as a New York City voter in September, his rep said. So he literally doesn't even... He just did that so he could fucking run in this race.
Elsewhere in the country, it's time we deliver it right here in New York City. It's time for a change.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani, we already had it. It was called the Homeless Outreach Unit.
I'm sorry, this
of
is not
cops
free
and
for all. We
mental
have another
health
question
care
for Mr.
officials.
Mamdani.
And Bill de Blasio funded them by $1 billion out of the budget.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mamdani. We're going to talk about disciplining police officers. The civilian watchdog that investigates police misconduct regularly recommends discipline for cops accused of wrongdoing, but the police commissioner often overrides them. You want to change that policy so that the board has final say. Please explain to viewers in 30 seconds why you believe the police commissioner should no longer have that final say.
What I've said is that I think it's time to remove much of the politics out of the question of accountability. We have the Civilian Complaint Review Board, which, as you said, studies, assesses, and investigates into complaints of abuse and the violation of the law. And oftentimes those recommendations are then subject to political pressures and not followed through on. I think New Yorkers deserve a system where they know it won't then be assessed once again that there's actually more to the recommendation in the investigation that's being done by the CCRB.
Okay, we're wrapping up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Cuomo, do you believe changes are needed for how officers are
Why don't they give the moderators the ability to turn off their mics? Honest question. They said at the beginning that they have it. They have the ability to do that, but they didn't use it.
discipline? And are there any powers that you would give up as mayor? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, I would not remove the police commissioner from the CCRB.
Are there any powers you would relinquish as mayor? What?
I'd leave it with the police commissioner. I think Commissioner Tisch is doing a very good job. I would trust her. The difference between me and the assemblyman is he doesn't like the police. That's why he won't hire more police when everyone else says we need more police. He wants to use social workers on domestic violence calls, which are very dangerous. And he's told you what he thinks. He thinks the police are racist, wicked, corrupt, and a threat to public safety.
Thank you.
Those are his words.
Very quick. Mr. Mamdani, very quick.
Look, Andrew Cuomo is a politician of the past, and all he can speak about are the tweets of the past in 2020. Those are tweets which I have apologized for to New Yorkers and police officers directly, and they are not.
Eric Adams didn't live in New York City either, and he won. LOL, it's all BS. Dude, these fucking people, man. If that's true.
What I'm actually running on, but you're incapable of actually speaking about.
I mean, that's like following the New York tradition, though, because it's the, like if I had to look at like the Knicks roster or whatever, are most of them even from New York City? Like, or same with like their baseball teams and stuff like that. They fucking trade around players and like get people from different cities, states, like probably more than the average sports teams in the leagues.
The platform that we have here, which is one that will keep New Yorkers safe.
Can we just quickly ask you, because I think what some people feel they haven't heard from you, we hear you saying that you don't believe that anymore and you've apologized. People have not heard you sort of describe the evolution of your thought, how you got from there to here.
You know, growing up in this city, I would think often about safety and justice and the ways in which that relationship has been irrevocably harmed. When I learned about the exonerated five, when I learned about Sean Bell, when I learned about Eric Garner, when I learned about Michael Brown. And then in 2020, when I wrote these tweets, learning about the death of George Floyd. And that was a moment where it felt as if the distance between these two ideals had never been further. And in becoming an assembly member and serving and representing more than 100,000 people in Queens, learning that to deliver justice means to also deliver safety. And that means leading a city where you recognize the bravery of the men and women.
That is how all sports works. Usually don't play where you grew up. No, but do they even live there? Because a lot of people, like, if you play for the Spurs, right, you probably live in San Antonio. Is it the case that the people that play for the Knicks and stuff like that, or for these baseball teams, actually live in the city? Maybe, are you required to?
women who joined the NYPD and put their lives on the line. It means representing the Muslims who
But
are.
I know that that's standard for most teams or whatever, but I just wouldn't be surprised if like it has, even though a ton of people live in New York City, that like they still have a higher trade average than most.
Legally surveilled in my district,
so
and the
much,
black and brown New Yorkers who've been victims of police brutality.
So Mr. Sliwa, you've been out there, you've been on the trains, and I would like to know if you believe changes are needed of how officers are
Seasonal residents.
Let me just
I
suggest,
have sports enjoyers in my chat.
Zohran, what you've suggested.
Zohran, Curtis.
Zohran.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Let me just suggest what you have proposed with this new police outrage unit will endanger women and children in domestic violence situations. I know I've been involved in so many of them with the Guardian Angels. They will be killed. They will be maimed. Number two, in dealing with emotionally disturbed persons that I have dealt with for all my years as a Guardian Angels, you need trained professional police officers. Yes, you can have mental health workers with them.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
But that has been suggested. It was done before by the homeless outreach
We have other
unit,
grounds to cover.
and the guy you thought was the best
Mr.
mayor,
Sliwa,
Bill
thank
de
you.
Blasio, disbanded
Mr.
them.
Sliwa, thank you.
Let him cook.
Brief response.
To be very clear, the Department of Community Safety is not about responding to calls of domestic violence. We are speaking about mental health crisis and the homelessness crisis. These are the focuses of the work that they will do.
All right. We have other questions for that a little later in the debate, but we want to just change the pace a little bit, candidates, switching gears to the high cost of living in New York City.
Oh, you mean live there? Yeah, I meant live there. No, they're not required to live there. Most athletes only put down roots if they think they're going to be around for a while.
To kick us off, we have a few.
And I'm guessing that, like, again, if you end up like around this area, like on the Nets, on the Knicks, or whatever, you're probably not going to be around that long.
Pocketbook questions that New Yorkers wrestle with daily. So we want to know how much you spend a week on groceries. We'll begin with you, Mr. Cuomo.
Depends how many times my daughters come over, but probably about $150.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa?
Oh, I'd say about $175 with a gallon of milk, now $5 and always rising up. Loaf of bread, simple loaf of bread that used to be 99 cents.
Simple loaf of bread.
It's like $3 now.
Thank you.
This is an interesting question. But are they trying to get them to show, like, if they're out of touch? Are they going to tell them, like, what the average New Yorker spends on groceries every single week? Or, like, what's the point of this?
It's too,
Mr. Sliwa, thank you.
costly.
It's a brief answer. Thank you. Mr. Mamdani.
Yeah, I actually agree with Curtis on that. It is too costly. Now that eggs are down to less than $4, though, my average spend every week is about $125, $150.
All right. Do you carry credit card debt or do you pay it
Damn,
off
Curtis
every
is the one who's out spending them both.
month? Mr. Mamdani?
I pay it off every month.
Mr. Cuomo?
Paid off.
Mr. Sliwa?
I don't have a credit card. I have a debit card.
And for the record, what is your
I
monthly
don't even have a bank account. I keep all of my money under my mattress.
rent or mortgage, Mr. Sliwa?
About $3,900. It's not subsidized there, so.
Mr. Mamdani, what is your monthly rent or mortgage?
$2,300.
Mr. Cuomo?
He has a rent-stabilized apartment that a poor person's supposed to have. Mine is about $78.
Do you remember when he was, like, wanting to do a specific thing? Hold on, like, and did I hallucinate this? Mamdani's Law, Andrew Cuomo, where he was like, Zohran Mamdani is like literally trying to take a home from like a poor POC in New York City. And I'm going to personally create a law if I become mayor to like evict him and put in this POC. No, it's all recent stuff. I have to find this. I know that this happened.
$800. Okay.
We are actually getting to
We're going to cover that subject. But Sally?
Thank you. We're going to talk a little bit more about the runaway rent in this city. Mr. Mamdani,
even though, as far as I know, you don't have to have a certain income level, like, or is there an income threshold that's attached to like rent stabilized apartments in New York City?
you're pledging to freeze rent for nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. That really affects less than half of all rentals in the city. What is your plan for those who aren't in stabilized apartments but are struggling to pay the rent? What are you going to do for them?
Well, I'm proud to say that I will freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, and I will also build 200,000 truly affordable homes across the 5 boroughs over the next 10 years to ensure that tenants...
No? How do you even end up qualifying for a rent-stabilized apartment in New York City?
Whether rent stabilized or market rate can actually have more housing such that they are not being priced out of this city. And finally, I'm also going to make it easier for the private sector to build housing in this city, because what we see today is that it's not labor, it's not materials, it's the weight that is often costing so much to actually build the housing we need in this city.
Thank you. And a follow-up for you, Mr. Mamdani. The cost of maintaining a building change year to year for landlords. The Rent Guidelines Board is legally required to consider those costs when deciding whether to freeze rents. So how can you...
Of the groceries thing.
You judge me. You're the selfish one. You're the one who charged his own brother for a Bluth frozen banana. I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
You've never actually set foot in a supermarket, have you?
I don't have time for this.
You promise a rent freeze today before ever seeing that data next year.
You know, we've seen the data time and again. It's
But next year's data.
It's been data that's been overruled by mayors again and again. The last Rent Guidelines Board study.
It was a very Lucille Bluth moment. But funnily enough, again, Curtis outing himself as having to spend $175 a week on groceries.
That profits were up 12% for landlords of those units. And what do? They raised the rent, adding to more than 12% under Eric Adams' administration. What I'm speaking about is actually reflecting the needs of these New Yorkers and the state of the market today. These are New Yorkers who have a median household income of $60,000. We do not need to be pushing them further out of the city. We need to keep them in their homes.
Aren't you saying in that answer that you are going to prejudge? You will not have seen the data for next year, and you're making a determination based on data you haven't seen?
I've seen the data year after year of the fact that salaries are stagnating, costs are up.
What is this stupid question? You can look at broad trends without having followed the data that fucking closely.
Workers can't actually afford
and
their
still
apartments.
have like the same
And
prescription.
I will also take action to actually ensure that the landlords of those buildings
we're
can better
at
handle their
time.
costs by taking on their insurance, their property taxes, and their water
data,
bills.
and you haven't seen next year's data
Mr.
yet, but
Cuomo,
we're going to go
I do
to
have a question for you on this subject. You have proposed something that you're calling Zohran's Law. You think that Mr. Mamdani
this is what, like, that's what it was. It wasn't Mamdani's law, it was Zohran's law.
Too much to live in his rent-stabilized apartment, though I should note that there are no income tests for rent-stabilized apartments. But critics say your plan would force people to pay too much of their income towards the rent. So if you think Mr. Mamdani is gaming the system, what about the other New Yorkers, thousands of them just like him, who earn similar salaries, who are living in similar apartments?
Again, this is why you don't construct policy. I mean, obviously he's doing this as a fucking stunt. But if we're actually, like, if he was actually going to follow through on it, this is why you don't try to make policy surrounding one particular person. It's obviously disgraceful because he's doing it to attack a political opponent, but it's just stupid on its face.
Okay, just to follow up on what Sally was saying, because she's right.
Like, not even thinking it through that, like, yeah, the way that it was crafted, the people were actually going to hold it under a microscope and be like, hey, that would apply to me if you actually pass this shit.
This is not a new plan that the Assemblyman is talking about. It's Bill de Blasio's plan. It was called Freeze the Rent. Bill de Blasio says the mayor can't say legally he's going to freeze the rent. There's a Rent Guidelines Board. There are certain considerations that have to be looked at. You're right, Sally. You can't say today, but it's going to be in 4 years. Also, freeze the rent only postpone.
Are they actually under the impression that rent is going to go down? That rent is actually going to decrease in New York City? I don't care about like some like, you know, very, very like small minuscule drop if overall the trend has been is that it's increased.
The rent, because then
this whole like we don't know where rent's going to be in 4 years. Maybe you don't need that. Like, dude, you're so out of touch.
To have an increase to cover the costs, otherwise the building is going to go bankrupt. And it does nothing for the majority of renters who aren't in these rent-stabilized units. There's nothing for NYCHA. There's nothing for homeowners. There's nothing for people in black, brown communities who are getting priced out. I was the HUD secretary. I built affordable housing all across this nation. I built affordable housing in this city when I was in my 20s. I know how to get it done. I will get it done. On the rent-stabilized units, what I'm saying is those are the precious units. And we should,
I'm sorry,
we should
Mr.
keep
Cuomo.
them for the most rent burden.
We have to move on.
But I have a question for you.
No, sorry, he invoked me for much of that question. Just a very brief response here.
Very brief.
You know, you've heard it from Andrew Cuomo.
Assertive.
Number one crisis in this city, the housing crisis, the answer is to evict my wife and I. He thinks you address this crisis by unleashing my landlord's ability to raise my rent. If you think that the problem in this city is that my rent is too low, vote for him. If you know the problem in this city is that your rent is too high, vote for me.
If I understand it correctly,
sons of millionaires
Mr. Cuomo, your program,
subsidized
Zohran's
housing.
Law would not evict Mr. Mamdani.
It would not evict it.
It would apply to people applying for apartments.
But the
tenant advocates.
It would evict no one.
This
it would be an income limitation.
We have to move on. I have a question for Mrs.
This is like a spat in the schoolyard. Let me suggest.
Okay, this is insane though. Like looking at the proposal, this is from Andrew Cuomo's website. Press release, August 12th of this year. Cuomo unveils Zohran's Law to make vacant rent-stabilized apartments available to those who need them, keep them out of the hands of the wealthy. What does he consider wealthy? Under Cuomo's proposal, when a rent-stabilized apartment becomes vacant, the incoming individual would be capped so that the annual rent makes up at least 30% of that income. For example, if an apartment's rent goes for $2,500 a month, the new tenant's income could not exceed $100,000. It's like, you're not trying to keep, like, you're wealthy when you make slightly more than $100,000. That's like 2 teachers. Because it's probably combined household income.
Mr. Sliwa, Rosario has a specific question for you on this.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about affordability and obviously address that issue.
Yeah.
So you've proposed, Mr. Sliwa, plans that would make a point of talking about the struggle of renters and property owners. Describe your plan to help renters and landlords.
Well, first off, we have 6,000 available apartments that the mayor controls in NYCHA, and they've been empty for years. That you address, number one. Then we talk about senior citizens who are living here. My whole goal is to improve and not to move. I'm concerned about the seniors.
Bars. Improve, not move.
Especially those that own homes. If they're 65 and make less than $250,000, no property tax, because the property tax is way too high. We need to cut it in half to keep people who are here. And then in terms of rentals, we have affordable housing that can be built in these huge skyscrapers. You see them all throughout Manhattan and in northern Brooklyn and in Long Island City, which we have 25 Empire State Buildings full of commercial space that will never be occupied for office space. We should be converting them into affordable apartments. They're in dense areas. The infrastructure can support it. I'm the only candidate here who's against the city of yes that would destroy residential neighborhoods.
I have to interrupt you because we have a programming moment right now. We're about halfway through the mayoral.
Sliwa comes out boldly against abundance.
Debate. Channel 4 and Telemundo 47 will return to regular programming, but we got a lot to get to, and you can continue watching live on NBC New York, Telemundo 47 streaming and digital platforms, Telexitos, Politico.com, and YouTube. Stay with us. A lot to discuss.
Awkward.
Gentlemen,
I'd love to see Sliwa talk to Ezra Klein. He would kind of just talk at him, I think. I don't think it would really be much of a conversation.
Gentlemen, thank you. That was kind of a natural point for us to transition, and we want to talk now about transportation and getting around town. And we have a few quick questions about how you get around town. Show of hands, even though they're in their waning days, who has a Metro card or maybe uses OmniPay?
Uses OmniPay?
Yeah, OmniPay, yeah. Metro card, I mean, I have one, but, you know, I know I'm hanging on to the last moment.
So you're on the subways, Mr. Sliwa. What do you use? I'm just curious. If you don't
OmniCard. In fact, I got a whole batch.
Okay.
I'm in the subways, I'm in the buses, and the express buses. The only candidate who rides mass transit every day.
When you need to get somewhere Fast and you can't take the train.
Cutis Sliwa has never taken an Uber in his life.
Do you hail a taxi? Do you use rideshare? Mr. Sliwa, what do you do?
I try to avoid yellow cabs. As you know, I was shot.
Wait, lots of things happening. Hold on. Lost Highway, thank you so much for the $10. Before we get back to the fact that Curtis just casually dropped that he's been shot before. Or $10. Oh, fuck. Why isn't this showing my tipping history? Give me a second.
In the back of a yellow cab in 1992 by the Gottis and Gambinos. But I'd find my way around.
Okay, wait, what?
You use rideshare. Mr. Sliwa, what do you do?
I try to avoid yellow cabs. As you know, I was shot in the back of a yellow cab in 1992 by the Gottis and Gambinos.
As you know,
but I'd find
you should know the Sliwa lore, you guys. If you don't already know, this man has been shot.
Way around. If I have to, I Uber if I can't get there by mass transit.
What do you do, Mr. Mamdani, if you can't take the train?
I would either take a cab or ride a bike.
Mr. Cuomo?
Okay.
I will take a cab, Uber.
Okay. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Sally?
Oh, Lost Highway. I see. Okay, there. I see it. I didn't realize it was a super chat. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thought you did well in the convo with Hutch, my boy. He's our boy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Let's talk about free buses. Mr. Mamdani, this is a centerpiece of your campaign. Can you explain how you will make buses free? You have 30 seconds to answer.
Absolutely. We will make buses free by replacing the revenue that the MTA currently gets from buses. This is revenue that's around $700 million or so. That's less money than Andrew Cuomo gave to Elon Musk in $959 million in tax credits when he was the governor. And the reason that we will do so is that making buses free doesn't just provide economic relief, but also public safety. Because what we've seen is that it decreases assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%. New Yorkers deserve more than the slowest buses in the country. I know that because I was on the M57 not too long ago, and its average speed is 4.9 miles an hour.
We're at time, though, but the question is how you'll make them free.
We will fund the revenue that would
by
have otherwise
taxing people.
Has been brought in from fares, and that's something that we would do.
The same way you pay for every fucking social program in this goddamn country.
Partnership with Albany, and I've put forward two proposals. The first is to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers by 2%. That would raise $4 billion. The second,
it's like any time that there's a candidate with a proposal for a social program that's going to actually benefit working class people, there's like, how would you do that? Start explaining in depth, in detail, exactly and precisely how you're going to get this done. Meanwhile, you've already had fucking Cuomo drop casually. Yeah, when I become mayor, I'm going to like add 7,000 fucking cops or whatever to the NYPD. Crickets when it comes to follow-up for how the fuck are you going to pay for that?
Okay.
Is to raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, which would raise $5 billion.
We're going to move along, but I just want to point out to viewers that Governor Hochul has opposed raising the income tax. But Melissa, we'll move on to your question.
Okay,
Could I address that on the buses? Because half the people don't pay their bus fare to begin with, Zohran. And so it's
Zohran.
It's a complete disaster. If you have free bus fare, and the Citizens Budget Commission said just last year, 2024, $1 billion of fare evasion in all different forms. This MTA system
Curtis
will collapse.
will not put up with this.
There's not enough
the
money.
The days of you skipping out on paying your $3.50, done.
Out there to
Gone.
make up
Watch
for
your
fare
back.
evasion. Pay your fare. If you don't pay your fare, they have fare programs for the poor and the indigent. But everybody should be forced to pay their fare.
Mr. Cuomo, you had both praise and some criticism.
Curtis running on a platform promising to increase how much you pay, and if you don't pay, you're going to get in trouble.
For Mr. Mamdani's free bus pilot. So you're sort of in the middle on this issue. What's your plan to make subways and buses more affordable?
I think free buses is a mistake. It costs about $700 million. Just to give you an idea that we only raise about $500 from
dude, how much is your fucking plan to expand the NYPD cost?
Congestion pricing. It's been done before in other cities. It was a disaster. They stopped. They basically became mobile homeless gathering places. What I say is
mobile homeless gathering place. What?
Free buses for working families who can't afford it, and free subways for working families. But don't subsidize rich people on a bus. And it's been tried and it's failed.
Mr. Mamdani, can you just respond quickly on the point about the mobile homeless gathering?
Oh my God! Look at this. Thank you so much. H. Mata, thank you so much for the 5 tier 1 sub gifts to my community. You guys should give a thank you to H. Mata for that. Now you have an ad-free experience as well as cute emotes, so appreciate that.
Places.
This is something that we heard when we were fighting to make buses free in Albany when we delivered the first fare-free bus lines in New York City history. And what we saw is when we made one bus route free in each borough of New York City, there was no increase in homelessness on those buses. There was no increase in fare evasion in the surrounding area. What there was an increase in ridership of up to 38%.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Candidates, maybe we can dig deeper on this and get a sense of how all of you would pay for your big ideas. Mr. Mamdani, we'll start with you. We've obviously been talking about free buses. You've talked about free childcare, city-run grocery stores. So essentially, you're proposing about $10 billion in new spending. And as you've indicated, you want to pay for it with tax increases. But as Sally pointed out, Governor Hochul said no to raising income tax on millionaires. So tell New Yorkers tonight how you're going to pay for all of this in 1 minute.
Fuck.
If you can.
This is from his last run. Nyc Mayoral candidate Sliwa has 17 cats.
Welcome to the Sliwa household. It's not very big, but it's comfy.
My consultant said you don't want to let people know
Look at this kibby.
that you have 17 cats. Then they'll think you're crazy. And some people have told
It's
me
making sense now why he pays $175 weekly for groceries.
that. I say, great. You say crazy, I say eccentric. But in reality, it's taking care of furry little creatures that would have been executed at taxpayers' expense. Think about that. We're executing our furry little friends and family members. Compassion is really the key. We've had a mayor, de Blasio, who claims he's compassionate, that he's
the duality of man. This guy literally has a vigilante group that he started in 1979 that is known for apparently for being racist and unfair, but then he's like talking about how you have to be compassionate to kitties and you want to keep them out of no-kill shelters.
a progressive. And as a result of his inactions, we see not only animals being slaughtered who could live a good life, but the emotionally disturbed who are everywhere. He had a program, Thrive, took $1.25 billion over 5 years. It was supposed to deal with the emotionally disturbed. He never does. And then the homeless, situation which is growing in leaps and bounds. People don't understand who they are and where they're from, and they get vilified.
Oh my God. This is beyond the average New Yorker. No, Curtis is a man of the people. This is actually the average New Yorker. The average New Yorker actually has around 22 cats, so he's actually coming in below that median at 17.
This lifestyle by my wife Nancy, who was living the life.
The majority of the cats we have indoors here, I think there's maybe 2 that
They're
are
just
outdoor
chilling.
rescues, but everyone else is on the kill list. And those are the cats that are in the shelters, and they're considered unadoptable, but they won't even give the opportunity to adopt them out to the public. So you have to be an approved rescue group to do that, which is kind of crazy.
I bet he thinks cats should pay for bus fare too. No, he just doesn't want them. No, Curtis wouldn't do that, you guys. He gives a free pass to the kitties.
The opportunity to do that, and they're very quick to classify them as unadoptable when so many of them are adoptable. Like this one here, I'm like, I'd rather, even if they're older, that they live out their last days here rather than.
But he just doesn't want them skipping out on it. He says that they're probably eligible for the fair fare program. They just need to pay it through that.
Just like be sitting in a cage and then be, I don't know, just euthanized by some no-name vet or something. I don't know, just it's kind of freaky to me to think about that.
Over 1,000 people responded on social networking and said, looks like the...
On social networking. He is adorable sometimes.
Look, a lot of people have called even my campaign a non-starter when we first began. And now I stand before you proud to be the Democratic nominee who got the most votes in city primary history. And I believe we will see the same thing with our push to ensure that we are taxing the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations the fair amount.
Does he keep the beret on in the bedroom? I don't know, man. He's like just a freak in the streets. So it could only go one of 2 ways. He's either even freakier in the sheets or he's like totally boring and vanilla.
They should pay. Now, there are those who will say that because it will be hard, you should give up. We saw what giving up looked like when Andrew Cuomo was the governor. He gave up on fighting for working class New Yorkers and instead caved in to his billionaire donors. And what did we get? We have the fastest and most frequent helicopter service to the Hamptons, and we have the slowest and more expensive bus service across the 5 boroughs.
But again, Mr. Mamdani, I know Governor Hochul indicated this week there may be some open windows, but more or less income tax on millionaires is off the table, according to the governor.
Look, I've said very clearly, making buses fast and free costs about $700 million a year. Making universal child care a reality costs about $5 or $6 billion a year. If you raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, you'd be raising $5 billion in and of itself.
I have a couple of follow-ups. Mr. Sliwa, you're next, but I have a couple of follow-ups.
I would just add one additional thing. We have also put forward a plan to save money here in New York City with $1 billion in savings through procurement reform, through following the independent budget office's assessment about hiring more fiscal auditors, and in actually collecting the fines and fees from bad landlords across the city.
Just a quick couple of follow-ups. If you could find some of the funding, but not all of it, which of your priorities would come first? What would be the first among equals that you would try to get done?
Well, freezing the rent doesn't require any fiscal infusion, so that will be something we'll be pursuing immediately. And universal childcare, after housing, is the second cost. Childcare is the second cost pushing New Yorkers out of the city. $22,500 a year is the estimate we've seen.
Okay.
That will be a priority for us.
And I just want to know if you could get the money and funding elsewhere, would you drop the call for the tax increase?
Absolutely. The most important thing is funding these agenda items.
What a bizarre question. If the money fell out of the sky, would you still tax them if you could pay for the program with the money? No.
These are the 2 most important and straightforward direct ways to do so. But if the money comes from elsewhere, the most important thing is funding.
Melissa has a question for Mr. Sliwa.
Mr. Sliwa, you've been talking about cutting taxes and spending. So what is your plan, and how would you pay for your programs like 7,000 more cops?
Well, Zohran, boy, your fantasies are never going to come about in terms of funding everything you want. It's going to be free, free, free. It's a fantasy. Let's deal with the reality. 7,000
He only
cops.
deals in
You
facts.
already have a plan in Boston where you pay for taxes in the future. This is a great plan in which universities and others who have bought up properties that are now taken from the real estate market and taken from property tax pay. We could raise $1 billion from Columbia University, NYU.
You pay for taxes in the future?
That are in the real estate business, and Madison Square Garden, your friends, Andrew Cuomo, Jimmy Dolan, who pays no property taxes. That's how you raise $1 billion to get 700 police officers trained, vetted, and out into the streets in the 5 boroughs. And then
so it's okay to raise money for the billion cops. That's okay. But getting it for busing programs or anything that would benefit low-income people, that's a no-no.
Police will be on the subways, and they will be patrolling the old-fashioned way where they're needed, going up and down the moving subway cars where people want to see the visual protection, especially women who are being assaulted, perved. And like we saw this morning on 86th Street, a woman with a gun to her head, an armed robbery because we don't have enough cops.
I have a question for you in this topic, and let's talk about history, because as governor, you raised and cut.
How would a cop have helped that situation exactly?
Taxes. Now you're proposing some tax release. What's the price tag for your proposals, and where will you get the money for example, 5,000 new police officers? You have a minute to answer.
I think Sally's question was very well taken. The Assemblyman's whole plan is based on a myth. He's going to raise taxes. Albany's going to raise taxes statewide on corporations, but the money's only going to go to New York City. That could never happen. It's not.
Oh, no. Andrew Cuomo's here to tell you why it's actually going to be bad if you try to make the rich pay their fair share, and same with corporations.
Not just that the governor wouldn't support it. It's impossible. He said he's going to raise the taxes the same as New Jersey, corporate tax.
It's literally impossible. What Zohran Mamdani is proposing with respect to his tax policy is literally in violation of the first law of thermodynamics. It is not humanly possible.
It would be double the tax. You would see New Yorkers on 995 fleeing to Florida. We would be alone. So you have to be realistic with revenue. You have a $115 billion budget. You have to go through that city budget and find savings. I started the state, which is double the budget of the city, at a $10 billion deficit. I closed it and added services. And we can do the same with New York City.
Governor, as mayor, you would not increase spending in the New York City budget? Yes or no?
There would be, whatever additional spending would be revenue neutral.
So
it's impossible. You got to cut taxes for people to stay here.
Thank you.
Corporations are not going to stay here. They're being lured south to cities that are more corporate friendly.
Again, I'm just comparing Cuomo to Sliwa. That is literally the same answer that Andrew Cuomo just gave.
You got to cut the property tax, income tax for those who are 19 to 20.
If you try to tax these people just a little bit, the like wealth flight shit, yeah, they're gonna leave one of the largest economies in the world. They're gonna stop participating in it. Okay.
Sliwa, skill levels if they go to school here.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
Andrew Cuomo thinks it's all right to spend $60 million to fund his legal defense from accusations of more than a dozen women of sexual harassment. But if I say we should spend the same amount of money on delivering cheaper groceries in this city through a pilot program, that is unfathomable.
Quick, David, I have a right to respond to that.
Yes, quickly.
First, I did not bring those lawsuits. That was brought by the Attorney General, which I said was political.
Well,
why would you bring forth these lawsuits against women that you sexually harassed? What?
Generated
by individual
the legal
women, and some of them have still been making their way through the courts this year. And
yes,
now.
And I've been dropped from the cases.
Not all of them.
Yeah. And what the Assemblyman does
Thank you for the bit. Salty Squid Stream, get his ass.
Say is all this money that he wants to pass. The one thing he did do is he voted for a pay raise for himself. They're the highest paid.
Like moderators, can we get like a fact check on this? This dude is saying like, oh, everybody's like dropped the cases against me, and she was just kind of like, that's not entirely true.
I did ask the state controller's office this week. I did ask the state controller's office this week. The total was above 60 million, but just those sexual harassment cases to defend Governor Cuomo and his staff was about 21.
Sorry, it was the sexual harassment and
I just want to clarify because you said 60, but on those cases it was 21.
Okay. Thank you. We have to talk about quality of life in the city. Let's turn to everyday life in the city and some issues a mayor can directly impact. We start with a couple of questions about 311, the number New Yorkers call or text for non-emergency help.
And like, this is not even getting into the fact that like New York State just this year agrees to settle ex-Cuomo aides harassment claims for $450,000. The former executive aide, Brittany Camiso, accused Andrew Cuomo of groping her when he was governor. The state did not admit wrongdoing. But, like, it's just bill after bill with this fucking dude.
First off, have you ever called 311, and if so, for what? Mr. Mamdani?
I called 311 for issues with my heating in my apartment. And I've spoken to New Yorkers time and time again who are frustrated by the fact that they can track their Uber Eats block by block, but when they call 311 for them to come to their apartment, it's just a question of hoping and praying that they do. There's no actual appointment. That's something that we would change.
All right, Mr. Sliwa, have you ever called 311?
You know, there used to be that song, 911 is a joke by Public Enemy. 311 is a joke. You can call it over and over and over again, and you never get a response.
Have you?
The analytics are when the operators talk to you, as I talk to them.
Have you called?
Yes, I've called them many times and gotten no response.
I can't believe they had to, like, were they doubting this? Like, obviously, he has called them.
Most citizens I talk to in the subways and streets.
It doesn't seem like it, but guys like Cutis are basically the OG Karens.
Never get good
Thank you,
responses
Mr. Sliwa.
from
Looking for a short answer.
311.
Mr. Cuomo?
I've heard a lot of complaints about 311, so I actually made a call to 311 myself to see if the complaints were bona fide.
This is actually the Lucille Bluth moment. Holy shit. Yeah, there were some of the poors once told me that non-emergency line that they have, I guess, instead of like a private security detail like I have, that it doesn't work that well. So one time I decided to try to call it, and yeah, it sucks.
And I was dropped twice. Then they were going to send someone to help a homeless woman in distress, and no one showed up.
You're all expressing frustration. Last year, 311 received 38 million contacts from New Yorkers, from calls to the website. Wanted to know if you had a sense across 5 boroughs what the top 2 categories of complaints were. What do you think they were, Mr. Sliwa?
Noise.
Potholes, constantly potholes. People's undercarriages ripped out, pole bearings, alignments.
Second one, top 2?
Rats.
Okay.
If I had to guess, it's probably noise and. Well, I was gonna say like the like even if it's like yelling from other couples, it's like getting into like domestic disputes or whatever. I don't know what the second one would be.
The city is flooded with rats.
Mr. Cuomo, what do you think the top 2 complaints were?
Homeless and trash rats.
All right, Mr. Mamdani?
I think it was housing and noise.
Okay, so the answer is noise and illegal parking. And we're going to stick with quality of life. Rosarina?
That's right. And let's talk about noise candidates because they fall into these 2 categories. First of all, is the residential one. That's
the second thing I probably would have guessed is construction, but that probably also just ends up being like categorized as like a noise complaint.
And the loud music. And the second one is the street or sidewalk, everything with the loud construction and workers outside. So, Mr. Cuomo, as mayor, what can you do to help the city that never sleeps get a little bit of rest, Mr. Cuomo?
Yeah, look, I think if the 311 system worked well, if there was actually contact with people, I think New Yorkers would get it. I think New Yorkers would be responsive. I think we have to change the ethos in this city, the ethic in this city. Right now it's toxic, it's divisive, everyone's angry at everyone. I think when we have public...
This is Republican shit.
Safety that's functional again, and New Yorkers are part of that system. I think they would be...
the woke left is trying to divide you or whatever. We all need to like come together or whatever. It's like boring centrist middle of the road shit, or it's straight up just like Republican language.
More cooperative than you think.
Thank you very much.
There's no proposal.
Mr. Sliwa, how would you quiet a little bit the city that never sleeps?
In the outer boroughs, I see problems all the time, quality of life issues. 18-wheel tractor trailers, RVs parked everywhere. Garbage that's not picked up and collected. In the city, we've seen trash cans taken away by the sanitation department, Jessica Tisch, when she was the commissioner. The quality of life has diminished noticeably. So naturally, people are going to revert to 311. But it's important that a mayor be able to provide services to all the people. And they believe if quality of life is diminished, the next stop is sell your house and leave the city. And my goal is to improve and not move.
You will not be cut off.
Mr. Mamdani, your turn.
What we've seen is one of the biggest sources of noise in the city is from congestion. And with the implementation of congestion pricing, we've actually seen noise complaints drop in the congestion zone. And so I would continue to find ways to ensure that we have reduced congestion across the city. And one of the ways is by making the slowest buses in America ones that are fast and free, so that New Yorkers can not only live a life of excellent quality of life, but also be able to get around the city without having to worry if they have $2.90 or soon to be $3 in their pocket, which is already out of reach for 1 in 5 New Yorkers.
We have here the author of congestion pricing, and we have the apprentice of congestion pricing.
We might
I'm the only candidate who's opposed to congestion pricing.
I saw a lot of people that were complaining about this when they were talking about introducing it, but now that it's been implemented, one, apparently it's more common than people realized, and two, I think it actually has reduced congestion. I'm sure, obviously, it's going to disadvantage people that have less money, but if you have a car in New York, I'm not gonna lie, you probably make more money than the average New Yorker.
It has led to storefronts closing because they don't have enough food.
We need to move on, otherwise we might have to place a call to 311 about candidates going over there a lot of time. Okay, so we're going to move on to
Don't worry.
We're going to move on to illegal parking plaques in many neighborhoods. Recently, Councilmember Lincoln Ressler released a study that found 450 vehicles parked illegally during the day in downtown Brooklyn, many with fake or government placards. That's just one snapshot of the city, but you hear similar complaints.
Dude, that's probably like a fucking racket racket business, man. Some like people that create these like fake parking permits, fake parking passes, fake license plates or whatever that say, oh, you're allowed to, that don't trip up like NYPD scanners and stuff like that very easily, or like towing enforcement.
It's everywhere. So how would you fix this specific situation? You'll have 30 seconds. Mr. Sliwa, will begin with you.
Well, obviously, placards have been abused consistently. You have people who have created fake placards. Not only that, you have people with fake license plates, paper plates. There's all violations against the Department of Transportation rules and regulations of where you can park a vehicle. There's just no enforcement. And that's because we don't have police. We have these e-bikes going up and down. We have the motorbikes. They're not following rules and regulations. They should be licensed.
I bet the e-bikes are illegal to use on New York City sidewalks or whatever, but it probably isn't enforced.
Should have a way of being identified. This way, enforcement can take place because people are terrified walking out into the streets.
Mr. Mamdani, your plan for illegal parking.
I have seen footage and videos of like people walking across Times Square, people just walking about and jaywalking in New York City. I don't know how there isn't mass slaughter in the streets of New York City every single day, especially because these videos that I see, people are distracted and they're on their phones on top of it. They're crossing busy intersections and stuff like that, but somehow it doesn't happen.
We have to showcase that accountability is true, whether for New Yorkers who are just living in this city or those who are working for this city. And the violation of traffic laws are violations no matter who is doing it, and to show that that accountability is something my city government's actually going to pursue.
Okay, Mr. Cuomo.
On the quality of life, you're right, is very, very important. On the placards, I would make it simple. I would recall all the city placards and reissue only those that are bona fide, period, on day one. On the quality of life issues, the worst thing that could happen is if the Assemblyman's proposal for legalizing prostitution went through. That would be terrible for the quality of life. He also doesn't want to enforce misdemeanors.
Here's how I know that this isn't true, because if this were true, I would know about it already, and I would have praised Mamdani for it.
Getting to that,
that's assault, larceny, etc. That would be terrible.
We're going to have time to address that.
I want to be very clear. Not only have I never called for the legalization of prostitution, I'm not calling for that today either. And I also have never said anything about not enforcing misdemeanors. This is just yet another figment of Andrew Cuomo's imagination.
The DSA, which you give a part of your salary to, that's their position. Abolish jails, no new
not based
facilities, don't enforce misdemeanors. And you're on the bill in Albany as a sponsor to decriminalize prostitution.
The difference
does Andrew Cuomo not know the difference between decriminalization versus legalization?
Between myself and Andrew Cuomo, of which there are many, is that there is no one that is actually telling me what to do other than the 8.5 million people who call this city home.
Cuomo doesn't need hookers, he just chooses victims. Damn. Could you imagine if Mamdani dropped that fucking line in this conversation?
Want my policies, you'll find them on my website.
Who told you to legalize prostitution?
We actually have a question. Andrew, you can't escape this. You signed the law doing away with loitering for prostitution. That was the law put forward by Jesse Ramos.
Gentlemen,
you started the prostitution.
Dude, it's so funny that like every single time Cuomo tries to occupy this lane where he's like coming for Mamdani for doing something radical and extreme or whatever, you got Sliwa here with the fucking receipts as a Republican who's like running to his right, ostensibly, right? That's like, even though he's complaining about that, he did a similar proposal. It was just a little bit watered down or whatever. Like, of course, obviously, Mamdani's proposals are so much different than Cuomo's. But if you are trying to occupy like the conservative lane, there is an argument to be made that, like, again, the same types of people that think that, like, Nancy Pelosi is a fucking communist or whatever, they think the same thing about Zohran Mamdani, that he wants to do Sharia law. They actually will have a hard time seeing the difference between these two candidates, even though there's a ton of daylight between them.
Mr. Sliwa,
Mr. Jackson Heights and Flushing.
Mr. Sliwa, we have,
and you want to add to it, which diminishes the quality of life.
Mr. Sliwa, when I talk over you, nobody's hearing you, and we actually have a question on that. So we'll let Rosarina ask.
And for this question, candidates, we want to come to Queens, where we know that prostitution has been an ongoing complaint. Mayor Adams formed a task force and ordered sweeps by the NYPD. But the situation continues, especially around the very popular Roosevelt Avenue. As mayor, Mr. Mamdani, how would you handle this situation? You have 30 seconds.
I want to first be clear that I am not and nor have I ever called for the legalization of prostitution. And if you are happy with what's happening on Roosevelt Avenue, then you should vote for Andrew Cuomo, because his policy is to continue the exact same ones we've seen under Eric Adams. My policy is to actually take on sex trafficking, to have a zero tolerance for violence against women, and to follow the advice of district attorneys that we have here in New York City, the current Manhattan DA, the former Manhattan DA, the current Brooklyn DA, the former Manhattan DA having said that prosecuting women for prostitution is something that actually leads to less safety. And what we need to do is provide an economy
Mr. Mamdani,
of opportunity.
just a quick clarification.
Zohran Mamdani, why don't you personally want to sick the half of the NYPD on some of the most vulnerable, impoverished women in New York City that are just trying to make a fucking living?
So no legalization. How about decriminalization?
I do not think that we should be prosecuting women who are struggling, who are currently being thrown in jail, and then being offered job opportunities. I think we should be actually providing those kinds of opportunities at the first point of interaction.
Mr. Cuomo, your turn.
Look, Bill de Blasio, the Assemblyman is a mini-me BDB, okay? He's Bill de Blasio light. He proposed legalizing prostitution. He didn't get it, and he just told the cops, don't arrest any more prostitutes. There is a bill in Albany that he signed that says the prostitution, that a woman who is a prostitute, that would be decriminalized.
So not only does Andrew Cuomo sexually harass women, but he promises to throw them in jail also. Very cool.
Criminalized. That is what the bill says. And that's what he said, if you listen very carefully. That would take Roosevelt Avenue and explode it, because it would make it legal for prostitutes.
But real quick, how would you handle this situation?
You have to enforce the law. It's illegal. I went to Roosevelt Avenue. I talked to the store owners. I talked to the neighbors. I walked down Roosevelt.
I mean, they're saying in this sort of like semi-antiseptic language of like, we have to enforce the law or whatever. But what he is talking about is like putting a bunch of prostitutes in jail and prison.
Thank you. I have to move on to Mr. Sliwa. Your turn, Mr. Sliwa.
I've dealt with this back in the 80s and 90s in Hell's Kitchen in Chelsea, when they were overrun with open-air prostitution and Times Square. You don't go after the women. The women are the victims here. You lock up the Johns.
Holy fuck, is Curtis about to literally outflank Cuomo on this fucking issue? Let's fucking go.
The Johns. You let everybody know about the Johns. The madams and the pimps need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And these absentee landlords who knowingly rent their rooms, their apartments out for the use of prostitution, the Department of Buildings should come in, padlock the building, seize the building. Because many of these landlords live in Delray, Florida. They did back in the 80s and 90s when we did it in Chile.
Okay, but the funnier thing is like that plan is actually closer to fucking Mamdani's plan, because he's saying that like, yeah, it should either be a misdemeanor or not a fucking crime for you to sell it. But if you try to buy it, you're going to get in trouble.
Chelsea and Times Square and Hell's Kitchen, and they're doing it again, and there's no enforcement. That's why the prostitution.
We're going to go to Sally now.
Thank you, David. We're going to talk a bit about experience and beliefs. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, but we want to probe a bit deeper into each of your mindsets and how you'll approach governing as mayor. Mr. Cuomo, you have touted your experience on the campaign trail time and again, but you pretty squarely lost the Democratic primary to Mr. Mamdani, forcing you, a lifelong Democrat, to run as an independent.
Yep, so
when you announced that decision, you said, quote, "When you get knocked down, learn the lesson and pick yourself back up." What lesson did you learn, and what do you feel it said about you, something you did wrong, something that you need to change about yourself?
Yeah, I think in the primary campaign, I did not do enough on social media, which is a very effective medium now. I think the Assemblyman did do a better job on TikTok and social media than I did during the campaign, and that has changed now. I've also increased my activity significantly, but my agenda is exactly the same. I am the Democrat, although I'm not on the Democratic line. He is a Democrat.
Yeah, and you're not, because you were rejected by those voters, and then you stayed in anyway.
Socialist, called Barack Obama evil and a liar, didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Fight and deliver is, I will fight for people.
Dude, he is desperate. Like, they did not have him prep like better attacks for this, because he keeps repeating stuff that Mamdani has already debunked, and Mamdani has far more credibility than Cuomo does.
Fight the bureaucracy, and I will deliver results. New Yorkers need the mayor to get something done. This is all words and theories. I am a manager who can actually get things done.
This is a question about self-reflection is the thing.
Chuck Schumer over here discovering social media. I mean, bro really said, like, I finally joined TikTok.
You're reflecting on the most that you need to be on social media more. Was there any other deeper lesson that you learned?
Between the two campaigns, social media, more accessibility.
Okay.
I just have to say, it's been an hour and 20 minutes of this debate, and we haven't heard Governor Cuomo say the word affordability. That's why he lost the primary. That's why he'll lose the general election. And you can lie all you want, but the truth is, I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm the only candidate on this stage to have the endorsement of Kamala Harris, and I'm not the one who's funded by Bill Ackman, who called Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris endorsed. Hold on. Endorse Mamdani. I guess I missed this. Oh, this was recent. Harris backs Mamdani as top Democrats keep their distance. This was September 24th of this year. Zohran Mamdani got a major endorsement this week from former VP Kamala Harris, but many Dem leaders remain distant, fueling growing tension. So where is this? What did Harris say? Well, the former VP's endorsement of Mamdani came during an appearance on MSNBC, and it was actually pretty lukewarm, Steve. Harris said Mamdani, who's widely seen as this big progressive new voice, shouldn't be overhyped. That's her take. He shouldn't be seen as the only rising star in the Dem party. But Harris said it is time for Dems to get on board. Harris, look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported. That's all it fucking takes, man. How hard is that?
Harris unqualified to be the vice president of this country.
Okay,
Harris tepidly endorsed him. I will literally, this is still demonstrating far more aptitude and political smarts and instincts than the current minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, are showing.
Yes, brief response, please.
There are a lot of New Yorkers who support me. And there are a lot of Jewish New Yorkers who support me because they think you're anti-Semitic. So it's not about Trump or Republican. It's about you.
Even that language, it's like they support me because they think you're anti-Semitic, but he's not actually saying that he believes it. He's just saying that they think that.
Do you think he's anti-Semitic, Mr. Cuomo?
I don't make those judgments about people. Are you a racist? Are you an anti-Semite?
Why heavily imply it? Why validate and say that people support me because they think this, but then not follow through on it? This is just weak shit. I don't understand.
No, there are many Jewish people who believe he is anti-Semitic. I believe not condemning the globalized intifada.
He believes in the lived experience of the Zionist supporters of his that say that they think he's anti-Semitic, but he won't actually validate it. He'll just repeat it.
What he has said about Hamas,
but Mr.
I can see where they are inflamed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I covered your speech in an Upper West Side synagogue where you said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. There is no difference. And you were talking about Mr. Mamdani. Is that not an allegation?
No, I make that statement all the time. I wasn't referring to Mamdani.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mamdani, a brief response, and then we have to move on.
I have denounced Hamas again and again, and it will never be enough for Andrew Cuomo, because what he is willing to say, even though not on this stage, is to call me, the first Muslim on the precipice of leading this city, a terrorist sympathizer, is to send mailers that artificially lengthen my beard.
Okay,
is
that
to say
was fucking wild.
New Yorkers that they should.
How do I find it? Hold on. Andrew Cuomo, Zohran Mamdani beard ad. And then what that ad said is insane. Mamdani's face was altered in a rejected campaign flyer for Cuomo. A proposed flyer from a super PAC supporting Cuomo's mayoral bid featured an image of Zohran Mamdani with a thicker beard. Mamdani called the manipulation Islamophobic. Where is it? But I want an image of it. Yeah, it was this. This was 18 weeks ago.
Melissa has a specific question for you.
You are the Democratic nominee, and you're also a member, as we've been discussing, of a political organization.
Since when does he speak for the New York Jewish community? Oh, you haven't heard? Hold on. Andrew Cuomo is Jewish, he's gay, he's black.
As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am black, I am gay, I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health and her choices, because as a New Yorker, we are one community.
Love that.
And that may be less
So
familiar.
that's why he gets to speak for Jews, okay?
To New Yorkers, the Democratic Socialists of America, which believes in dismantling capitalism. New York City is the global headquarters of the finance industry. So how would you be the mayor of Wall Street and the DSA? You have 1 minute.
I would be the mayor of this entire city. And that means ensuring that the wealth that we generate in this city is also wealth that every single New Yorker can actually feel in their pockets. Because what we have today is a system that has generated the most wealth in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, where 1 in 4 of our neighbors are living in poverty. That's unacceptable. We can't look at 500,000 kids hungry every single night as just the cost of doing business in the city. That's something we have to actually change. And I'm going to do that by fighting for my neighbors in Queens that I've come to know, who are not only the ones who own teapots and toy stores, who own diners and dry cleaners, but also the ones who work there. Because right now, all of them are being pushed out of this city by corporate greed, by private equity, and by a politics that refuses to fight for them. I will finally
Just a quick follow-up, Mr. Mamdani. A lot of Hispanic that flee socialism and are a little bit scared to hear your policies. What would you tell them?
Well, I would first say that
you're talking about like Cubans, lady, and there ain't a bunch of there are not that many Cubans in fucking New York City. You got a bunch of like Dominicans and other Hispanic people, but not Cubans.
I wouldn't be here without the support of Latino New Yorkers, because it was the majority of their support that helped to make me the Democratic nominee. And what democratic socialism means is a belief in the dignity of each and every New Yorker and the responsibility city government has to deliver that dignity. That's why I'm speaking about childcare, because it's pricing out New Yorkers from the city. That's why I'm speaking about freezing the rent, because housing isn't a human right in the way that we practice our politics in this city. And that's why I'm talking about making buses fast and free, because 1 in 5 New Yorkers are being priced out of public transit today.
Rosarina.
So, Mr. Sliwa, I would like to talk to you because you were here with us 4 years ago in the same stage for the general election debate, and you lost it. Why do you believe New York is...
Largely Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and Colombians in NYC. I've seen a video of him speaking Spanish, and it's very clear that whoever is like helping him with his pronunciation is Dominican, because he has like just the way that he speaks it or whatever. It totally has like the Dominican dialect.
Ready to elect a Republican this time around?
First off, did I not warn you 4 years ago that Eric Adams would be corrupt and we would have chaos? Did I not?
Look at this. Cutis Sliwa with the future sight. Even he was warning against the scourge of Eric Adams before it even happened.
Of course I did. And I get praised for that. Now I'm trying to get people to vote for me, not just on the Republican line, but also my wife, Nancy, who is the best thing that has ever happened to me, created the first ever independent Protect Animals line, which calls for no-kill shelters and putting animal abusers in jail. But the other thing that differentiates me from both of my adversaries
I have 30
is that I am opposed to the city of Yes, which will destroy the residential neighborhoods. Both of them are for the city of Yes. So when you vote for me, whether on the Republican line or the Protect Animals line, turn your ballot over and vote no on all those initiative and referendums. Imagine, they've said, how can you, Curtis, a Republican, work with a Democratic majority in the council? Adrian Adams is in agreement with me. The Democratic city council people are in agreement with me. No to the city of Yes, which will take your homes and provide you instead with lithium-ion battery warehouses next to your house, which are like mini Chernobyls. I'm the only candidate who is opposed to the city of Yes.
Thank you.
I have a quick follow to that, Mr. Sliwa.
He's actually wrong on that, because Cuomo has been bitching about all of the proposals from Mamdani the entire time.
How do you bring down costs if you don't build more housing?
Oh, it's very simple to build housing. You just look in New York City. We have so many dense areas where you no longer can use the commercial space. They used to be office space. And you just convert it into residential housing. You don't need to go into the outer boroughs. You don't need to use wetlands and parklands, which they seek to do. If you build a new building, it takes 5 years. If you convert an
All right, Mr. Sliwa, thank you. We want to change the pace
a
little bit. I want to change the pace and just get a sense of what you think about political leadership. We're curious about who you admire. Who is the best modern-day U.S. president? Mr. Cuomo?
Modern day? Well, I'm partial. I was Bill Clinton's Housing and Urban Development Secretary. We built affordable housing all across the United States.
So Bill Clinton?
Sex best solidarity, man. Going with Slick Willie over Obama.
Empowerment zones. I would say Bill Clinton.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
I would say FDR.
Mr. Sliwa?
He's modern day?
Modern.
Well, I'd say FDR also, if that's modern day.
Mr. Sliwa?
A man that ended up being loved by Democrats and Republicans alike, the greatest governor we've ever had in my lifetime, George Pataki. 3 terms, no chaos, no corruption.
I was asking.
And he actually beat
President.
Sliwa just answered his own question that he decided they were asking about president, not governor.
Your father.
Mr. Sliwa, modern day U.S.
There's
president.
governor and there's
Modern day
president.
U.S. president.
Who's the
who you thought the best modern
best president in our lifetime?
Yeah.
I would say the best president in our lifetime that I've experienced. I would.
Who's he gonna say? He's not gonna say Trump. He's either gonna say he wouldn't say Nixon, H.W. or Reagan.
Go back to Ronald Reagan.
Reagan.
Okay. How about the best New York City mayor, Mr. Sliwa? Best New York City mayor, Mr.
Rudy Giuliani, who endorsed me last week.
Okay.
And I'd have a little bit of Michael Bloomberg thrown in because he liked the
Mr.
delegate
Mamdani?
responsibility.
Literally, the most ghoulish answers. Fucking Rudy Giuliani and Ronald Reagan.
New York City mayor of all time is Fiorello LaGuardia.
Mr. Cuomo.
It was Bill de Blasio last debate.
No, I've always said Fiorello is the best mayor of all time.
Who's yours, Mr. Cuomo?
Is it of all time or modern time?
Best New York City mayor in Europe.
Of all time, it is Fiorello LaGuardia.
We agree.
Recently, I would say Mayor Dinkins and Mayor Bloomberg.
Okay. How about the political leader, dead or alive, you most admire?
Who gave him a bunch of fucking money to run this stupid campaign, so no shit he's gonna say that.
Mr. Mamdani?
I would say I admire Bernie Sanders.
Mr. Cuomo?
My father.
Mr. Sliwa?
I said it already, George Pataki, who is loved by Democrats
you weren't
and Republicans
listening,
and
mods.
the greatest mayor in our lifetime.
All right.
Greatest governor in our
I just
life.
have one more before Sally starts to ask you about schools. A show of hands. Who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So no decision. Mr. Cuomo, you handpicked her as your lieutenant governor. No thought?
You have to know who's running.
Yeah. Okay, so.
And I would add that I do think that Kathy Hochul, our governor, has been doing a good job in not only
Do you
serving
support her
and
for
delivering,
re-election?
not only delivering for New Yorkers, but also standing up to Donald Trump.
Just what? Do you support her for re-election?
Then endorse her.
I'm focusing on November.
Why don't you
and
endorse
I
her?
appreciate her support
All right,
and I
thanks,
appreciate her
candidates.
work.
But you
Thanks,
don't
candidates.
endorse her.
How about a shout out
All
for
right,
Elise
we're gonna
Stefanik
turn
to take out Kathy Hochul?
No.
So you have a
Okay.
Republican
All right.
Mayor Curtis,
All right.
a Republican Governor
Thank you, gentlemen.
Stefanik,
Thank you.
like Giuliani
We want to
and
talk about
Pataki, who
schools.
saved this city.
We want to
and
talk about
state.
schools. Sally?
Okay, thank you, David. Let's turn to education. There are a number of issues facing public schools. One that's been controversial in the campaign is the Gifted and Talented program, which offers accelerated instruction to elementary school children. Mr. Mamdani, you have said that you want to phase out the Gifted and Talented program, while Mr. Cuomo and Mr. Sliwa want to expand it. Mr. Sliwa, we will start with you. What is your plan for the program? You have 1 minute.
Gifted and talented.
Yes, Gifted and Talented.
I have 2 younger sons with Melinda Katz, the Queens DA. They both attempted to get into Gifted and Talented as 4-year-olds. They failed. It did not
Just gonna roast his 2 sons like that.
present a problem with their future education. We don't have enough slots. Right now, they're 1,900. We need to have at least 5,000 slots around the city. What they have not done at the Department of Education is make these tests available in Black and Hispanic communities. So, for instance, you have 77,000 children who are 4 years old. Only 10,000 have taken the test. Only 2,000 are accepted. Why not offer the test to all 77,000? And even if a gifted and talented class only has 3 or 4 in a minority school, give these children an opportunity to excel too. That would make it fair for everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Cuomo, how does your plan differ from Mr. Sliwa's? You also have 1 minute.
First, I support mayoral control. I think it would be a terrible mistake to roll back mayoral control. That's probably been the most dramatic educational reform in 40 years. We'd go back to the old system that had local school boards, which were corrupt, patronage mills, et cetera. So who runs the system is number one. I would expand the gifted and talented programs, accessibility. I'd offer preparatory courses to any student, parent that wanted to take them. I double the number of specialized high schools from 9 to 18, and I would keep the SAT as it is.
Thank you. And Mr. Mamdani.
Can I add one thing? There's been no discussion about vocational high schools, which save so many young men and women. We need to expand vocational training for those who are not going to achieve academic excellence.
We're going to keep going here with Mr. Mamdani. Why should the gifted and talented
They're like, all right, dude, shut the fuck up. You're not actually a serious contender in this race.
Be phased out, in your opinion? You have a minute to answer.
So I want to be very clear. I have spoken solely of gifted and talented for kindergartners. I do not believe that kindergartners should be subject to a singular assessment. I have not spoken of any gifted and talented programs older than for kindergarten. I'm solely speaking about kindergarten. And I believe that we should be delivering the best education across the country here in the city. We will do that by following through on the proposals I've put forward to hire 1,000 more teachers every single year through our community to classroom program. One that will ensure that we're providing each student, whether they be in high school or someone who is an adult looking to become a teacher, with $12,000 in tuition subsidies so that they can start to fulfill the 7,000 to 9,000 additional teachers we need so that we can actually deliver on the Class Size Reduction Act, which I was proud to pass in Albany, that will ensure that children and teachers actually have a manageable ratio in that classroom so that they can learn. Because today, that learning is being rendered impossible by the number of kids in that same classroom. It's time to make sure that that number is lower.
Yeah. But you don't believe the mayor should run the system?
I've been critical of mayoral control because of the ways in which it's been used to take away the voice of parents, of educators, of students. And I think it's important that those same voices be a part of how we lead the system.
So are you for or against mayoral control?
I've been critical of it. I'm against mayoral control. And I think that there's an importance of developing something that actually enshrines all of those voices together.
Mr. Cuomo, you also tried to...
I'm convinced that Sliwa secretly wants Mamdani.
...tell it when Mayor de Blasio was mayor. But we can go...
I mean, so long as he's staying in, he's actually a spoiler to Cuomo than he is to Mamdani.
Did you hear what she said?
No.
I was saying you proposed a curtailment of mayoral control when Mayor de Blasio was mayor during
There's been multiple modifications of mayoral control.
But some proposed curtailment at your hand. So if you are such a champion of it tonight,
no, I never proposed reversing mayoral control.
No, shortening the duration of time he would have control of schools.
Yes, for renewal. The renewal period.
How much control of schools, Mr. Mamdani, how much control of schools would you be giving up? Is it just a sharing arrangement? I know you
Even as they were giving some of these answers, it does seem strange that these would be like almost unilateral decisions that the mayor could make instead of like a school board or, I don't know, different educators like alliances or groups or some sort of like public office for each school district. It is weird.
Share with the districts and with parents, or would you be giving up full control? And is that an accountability problem if the buck doesn't stop with you?
I think the mayor needs to retain the accountability so that New Yorkers know exactly who they can come to when they have critiques. And I think we also have to develop a system where we don't have what we saw just recently, where you have hours and hours of parents and teachers and students testifying only to be overruled without any consideration by the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. I have to move on. Switching now, it's a question for all three of you. Switching to students with learning challenges. Parents of students with dyslexia, ADHD, and autism are very well aware.
Okay, chat, listen up. This question pertains to you guys.
The fact that the school system in New York City is not doing enough to meet their children's educational needs. How will you help these parents and students? We know that Mayor Adams has expanded evaluations specifically for children with dyslexia. It was an issue close to his heart, but what would you do more broadly, Mr. Mamdani?
You know, I think some of the initiatives that Mayor Adams has launched, especially with this chancellor, have been showing positive signs, especially for literacy and for preparedness, especially as we're in a national crisis on reading and mathematical comprehension. And I think those are programs that should be furthered, should be invested in, all while also ensuring that we're giving teachers greater flexibility in the curriculum that they're actually teaching. Because what I've heard from many of those teachers is that too often the curriculum that's being procured in the $10 billion a year in DOE contracts is one that has little relation to the classroom.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Sliwa, you have 30 seconds.
Yes. We have $41,000 that we're spending on each student now. By fourth grade, 2/3 of these children cannot read, write.
Ooh, I struck a nerve in YouTube chat with that comment. You guys are getting fucking spicy.
Do math at grade level. We should be ashamed of ourselves for that. 100,000 less students than we had last year. 1/3 are truants. We have 200 schools with 200 students or less, and Michael Mulgrew determines which schools stay open. Eric Adams is not exhibiting mayoral control. The mayor should run the Board of Education, the old Board of Education that is now the Department of Education. The bureaucracy. You have 13 deputy chancellors. You have 50 department heads that suck up all the money, and teachers are still reaching into their pockets to pay for badly needed supplies for the children in the class. The money.
How am I obviously autistic? That's going to be their answer.
Money should be going.
She has the stuffed animals behind her. Autistic.
To the teachers and the children and young adults, and it's not.
Mr. Cuomo, what is your specific plan to deal with the challenges of students who have learning differences?
We are losing young families. when their child becomes of school age, they leave the city, they go to the suburbs, they go to New Jersey, they're not going to sacrifice their child on what they think is a secondary education system. The core competency, reading and math, below 50%.
That is crazy. Like, what families are you talking to that they can just up and move their families because they don't like the public schools that they have available to them? That already sounds like people that are like wealthier on average, which probably isn't the average New Yorker.
Is a disgrace. The gifted and talented programs gives people hope. I do believe Mayor Adams has made progress on the evaluations and services for children who require special needs and assistance, but obviously we have to do more.
So we have another question about improving schools. And in the last year, the schools enrolled more than 36,000 migrant students, many learning English for the first time. From class size to bilingual teachers, that puts a big strain in the system. Mr. Cuomo, what can you do to help migrant students, but also the staff? You have 30 seconds.
Well, first, I think it was wrong of the state to put so many migrants in New York City. New York City has
so brave, King. Love
the
that.
overwhelming majority of migrants.
But they're already here.
Close to about 80%. The state should have put them all across the state, Nassau, Suffolk, upstate, so other governments could have also...
Well, they were bused here from Texas, right?
And we have a situation right now.
But if they're bused from Texas, you could have brought some to Nassau, 20 miles,
Yeah, but they're here right now, and we're asking about the current problem.
Yes, well, that's how the problem was created.
Okay, we understand.
The state put them here. The state gave the city the bill. It has now increased the challenge in our education system. The state is going to have to help financially.
So Cuomo, I mean, he was literally talking about, like, his education plan was like, we need to give more opportunities to minority students and lower income, and we need to expand vocational schools so that people that don't succeed academically, like, have a future. They were like trying to cut them off or whatever. And Cuomo's here talking about like, basically white flight to the fucking suburbs because like New Yorkers leave because they don't like the public schools or whatever. I don't even know how frequent that is because it's very expensive to move. And now he's like saying this.
They're here right now, and we're asking about the current problem.
Yes, well, that's how the problem was created.
Okay, we understand.
The state put them here. The state gave the city the bill.
Fucking demonizing like migrants and like kids that are undocumented.
Increase the challenge in our education system. The state is going to have to help financially.
So you didn't answer the question, Mr. Mamdani, is your chance.
You know, when I spoke about our community to classroom program, the importance of it is not just bringing in 1,000 more teachers every year. It's also that we would bring in a number of more bilingual educators. Because what we've heard from a number of adults who have taught in other countries, now live in New York City, is the process by which they get their certification approved to teach here is one that is onerous and one that is actually pricing many of them out. That's why this is a program that will directly address that, to increase that bilingual capacity in our school system so that we can teach every single child, no matter when they got here, the public education.
Mr. Mamdani, this certification has been offered and it hasn't been successful. So how can you make more teachers to be, like they want to do this?
Part of what I've heard is that the tuition costs as part of the same certification exams are onerous for many of these adults looking to switch careers. That's why this program is built upon providing $12,000 in tuition assistance that would lead to 1,000 more teachers every year.
And also salaries will be a good...
We have not just migrant children. We have the children of the homeless, over 120.
Oh, he's not even asked a question. He just interjects.
We haven't yet discussed charter schools, parochial schools that are closing.
That's a leader
Normally,
right there.
parochial schools would have been able to take some of these children. We need to expand the number of charter schools that are doing an amazing job, especially in the inner cities. And why not make that available to migrant children and to the homeless children who are coming from shelters all across the city who need the special teaching skills that have lifted children in the charter schools?
Okay, like, I'm convinced that, like, Sliwa is on even a few issues more to the left of fucking Cuomo. The only point that he's like being more stringent on is about the taxation or whatever and policing. But Cuomo also wants to expand policing. I think he just wants to do it more.
Give choice, because that's our most precious resource, our children.
So allow me to now move on into the sanctuary.
I agree on the charter schools.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. So allow me now to enter into the sanctuary city situation, and let's talk about also undocumented immigrants. 26 Federal Plaza has become a flagship in federal immigration crackdown. We reported that asylum seekers are showing up for like those routine appointments, not facing any criminal challenges.
This guy's Republican. Yeah, he is basically an anti-Trump guy.
So by the show of hands, we would like to know if you believe that any of you could do something to stop this. Okay. So Mr. Cuomo, you have a minute to explain us. What would you do?
The law is the law. and I would have an
Wait, I have to go back. I was yapping. I didn't hear what they're asking.
In any 26 Federal Plaza has become a flagship in federal immigration crackdown. We reported that asylum seekers are showing up for like those routine appointments, not facing any criminal challenges, and they end up being deported. So by the show of hands, we would like to know if you believe that any of you could do something to stop this. Okay. So Mr. Cuomo, you have a minute to explain us what would you do?
The law is the law, and I would have an attorney assigned to every person who is undergoing any review by the federal government or any legal proceeding, and put the full...
Get the charter school BS out of here. No, I don't like the charter school shit either, but that is literally... Cuomo also said that he was in support of charter school, so that's why I was saying that, like, he's still outflanking him on that issue.
...weight of the city government behind it, and make sure they are legally protected.
Mr. Sliwa, what's your plan?
Look, going after the criminals, that's the job of Immigration and Naturalization Service, ICE. But when they have to perform under a quota, because I speak to many of the men and women who serve this country, it's putting too much pressure to go outside of courthouses, to go Home Depot shape-ups or the backs of restaurants and hospitality businesses, which have hired these migrants, and they are essential workers now. I can tell you, I have 3 sons. None of them are going to do that work. Some Americans will, but most won't. We need to protect...
Okay, this is like a weak pitch, but it is probably the most humanizing pitch that I've heard from a Republican in a while, even though this used to be the like standard Republican position. I mean, it makes sense that he says that like, oh, Reagan was the best president of my lifetime, because Reagan basically sounded like this on immigration. Like, he wasn't really talking about like, you need to see these like people as, you know, future Americans or anything like that. They were basically talking about like an underclass of cheap labor that America could benefit from, but it still sounds more humane than some of the shit that Cuomo has already said.
The migrants who are workers, who are essential workers, and use
His
ICE
kids
to
are
go...
clearly assholes. I mean, yeah, he was saying earlier that they couldn't crack it with gifted and talented, but he's like, my kids aren't going to scrub toilets.
After the drug dealers,
that's
the
an immigrant's job.
The sexual predators, and those who are sex trafficking and involved in narco-terrorism.
Mr. Mamdani.
You know, I'd be proud to be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations. And it's at 26 Federal Plaza that I've seen what used to be moments when New Yorkers would be getting their citizenship turn into moments of tragedy, where judges are asking New Yorkers who are there for a routine immigration check-in whether they're prepared to leave in the very same clothes that they arrived to that courthouse. I agree that we need more legal representation. I also think we need to actually be able to stand up to Donald Trump, because I heard from Pastor in East Flatbush, Pastor Galbraith, who told me how he accompanied a member of his congregation to 26 Federal Plaza. He sat there as a judge was determining her fate. They managed to convince the judge to replace the deportation order with a TPS order, but they knew that ICE would not care about that change, and they had to sprint her out of the building, smuggling her into the elevator in order to get her back to Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Candidates want to talk about New York City's economy and change the pace a little bit. Everyone supports growing New York City's economy. The mayor is our chief salesman to the business world. So we want to mix it up, test your persuasive power. So we're calling it an elevator pitch. And we'll start with you, Mr. Mamdani. In this scenario, imagine you're talking to the CEO of a big tech company, deciding to move its headquarters to New York City or to Dallas. The CEO is concerned New York just raised its corporate taxes and employees will pay more for everything.
Why would they use this as an example? Why would the mayor of New York City need to make an offer for a massive big box, like big tech company or big box store to come to New York City? It's New York fucking City. It's one of the world's largest economies. It sells itself.
Look into the camera and make your pitch to that CEO to come here and not there. Do it in 30 seconds.
New York City has something that Dallas or no other city across this country could actually offer. And that is the quality of life. That is the arts and the culture. That is the people that make the city so special. And I, as the mayor of this city, will deliver that quality of life, will deliver the safety that is the cornerstone of an affordability agenda. And
like the types of partnerships that they're talking about are like what they're supposed to beg for more Amazon fulfillment centers to like come to New York City and create jobs or whatever. These sorts of like public-private partnerships with massive corporations just end up being corporate handouts.
Will ensure that companies choose to come to this city and also choose to stay in this city. Because so much of what drives the tech sector is a hunger for innovation, a unrepenting desire to actually innovate. And those are the very things that are going to characterize my city government in this.
But what do you say to the CEO about the corporate taxes and also the staggering cost for the workers?
We are going to make this city more affordable so that workers who want to work at those companies can actually be able to do so. And we're going to ensure that this city continues to be one where we see businesses opening and also staying open.
All right, thank you, Sally.
Mr. Cuomo, something of a
Am I
reverse
missing something? Why did he randomly diss Dallas? I don't know.
scenario for you. The CEO
Maybe
of a
has
similar
beef with Mark
company
Cuban.
with 1,000 good jobs tells you she's very close to moving her headquarters out of New York City. She cites everything from taxes to the crushing cost of living for her employees in New York City. How do you convince that CEO to stay? Please look into the camera and make your elevator pitch. You have 30 seconds.
We know that the other companies in New York City. I'm sorry.
Fucking King. As soon as he opened his mouth, Curtis just starts going.
CEO to stay. Please look into the camera and make your elevator pitch. You have 30 seconds.
We know that the other companies in New York City.
This is literally
I'm sorry.
Cinematic.
The question is to me in this camera?
Yes, the question is how you would convince the CEO of a company with 1,000 good jobs who's looking to move out of New York City because of the high cost of living for her employees and taxes, how you would convince her to stay in New York City.
In 15 seconds?
30.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay. I get it. I understand your frustration.
It is off-putting to me that he is so, like, is he not listening? Why can't he follow just simple directions? He had to ask them to repeat the question because Curtis interrupting him threw him off that much. And then they said 30 seconds, and he said 15 seconds, and then they said, no, 30 seconds.
And that the far left has been raising taxes and making businesses feel like the enemy. We get it. That's gone. The DSA, the socialist orientation, we're not socialists. It didn't work in Venezuela, didn't work in Cuba, didn't work here. We know that we have to work with business. We want to be your partner. We want to have taxes that help us grow our city,
what is this shit?
But are competitive.
I like randomly throwing in this bitch. I don't like socialism. What?
For you.
We're at time.
And we want to partner to grow your business and our city together.
Mr. Sliwa, let's talk about business because let's assume the big tech company that we pitched to Mr. Mamdani earlier has decided to move to New York, and it's 1,000 good paying jobs, and the CEO wants to be based in Astoria, Queens. But there's a loud pushback of residents who don't want the noise and the traffic. How can you convince the residents to accept the new neighbor? You're speaking to a very powerful community. How can you convince them?
But we saw that with Amazon. Amazon wanted to come in, and AOC led the charge, and local elected officials to say no to Amazon. That was a big mistake. I would say this. Our companies are being recruited away by the day. We have young people who are going to school here
please think
who
of the
could fill
multi-billion-dollar
their
corporations
needs in these high-tech industries
Curtis's.
who also are being lured away. We need to cut their income taxes for 5 years. Tell them if you go to school here, graduate here, no income taxes for 5 years. It's an income tax holiday. And the most important thing, we have to be able to assure the executive that this will be a city where we don't lock up toothpaste any longer, but lock up the criminals who make it intolerable to have a good quality of life.
Thank you. We need to move on to a subject
that
is
Democratic Socialists of America that stopped Amazon and cost us 25,000 jobs. So
Thank you,
real
Mr.
life.
Cuomo. We need to move on.
Wow, that's like handing a fucking dude. The way that he's talking shit about the DSA, one, he's elevating. This is like so good for them. So like, do you think that most people hear that, oh no, the DSA prevented fucking Amazon from expanding in New York City and they get upset? Yeah, because people are like jumping up and down and dying to work at fucking Amazon, dude.
That is very important to a lot of voters, and that is people struggling with mental health.
Amazon still came in. Does he not know that? No, he's just hoping that the audience doesn't know because he just wants to go DSA bad.
Health problems. Roughly 500 times a day, someone calls 911
Yeah, literally. So he's saying DSA can win against Amazon? That's great.
An emotionally disturbed person. And in a limited number of those cases, when the person is not believed to be violent, social workers are dispatched instead of police. Mr. Mamdani, you want to do that on a much larger scale. So we want to know, how will this work? When will you send police versus social workers? You have 1 minute.
You know, we have a program here in New York City called Be Heard that is attempting to do this kind of work. But we've had a mayor who has ensured that it's been unsuccessful, to the extent that even when there was an assessment of about 60% of calls that could have been addressed by Be Heard instead of the NYPD, Be Heard was not actually responsive to it. And that's because we haven't had the political will to deliver on what is a crisis that affects so many New Yorkers, which is the mental health crisis. What my plan will do, an innovative plan of the Department of Community Safety, will take what has worked elsewhere in the country, a program in Eugene, Oregon, where they took 24,000 911 mental health calls out of the police department. They were able to respond to all but 311 without police assistance. When there is a concern for safety or of violence, absolutely, you would have the police there. But what we are doing today is actually ensuring that every single call is going to the police and not allowing them to do the work that they signed up to do.
How will you determine whether there is a concern for safety or violence? What is the line between the calls in which police will be dispatched and the calls to which social workers will be dispatched?
The line is also going to be one focused on violence and the threat of violence. And I also trust the operators who will be receiving those calls to make that determination, as they do every day today for so many emergency services.
And just two really quick points.
I was going to say, that, like, why are they making it sound like this isn't a decision that's unilaterally made by the dispatchers every single day? You're just relying on testimony. And for the most part, they, like, I don't know why they think that. I'm so confused. Like, I don't understand what the hard part of this is, or like, is he saying something controversial here?
Please, there has been a lot of discussion that you would send.
Like, there are plenty of times where people contact 911 and say that they have an emergency, and they do not always send somebody out because the dispatcher says that is not actually an emergency, and they redirect them to a non-emergency line.
And social workers to domestic violence calls, which police are concerned about. So you're saying no, okay. And then the other question is, how can you be sure that a situation that does not sound violent when someone calls 911 does not become violent in the moment? Would police be assigned as backup?
I think what you do is you actually follow the experts that have shown us this can work when you're willing to ensure that you're trusting the mental health experts who have been doing this work elsewhere in the country, where they call for the police when they need the police, but their initial impulse when there's no violence in that call is to actually address the mental health at the heart of it.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa, you have encountered plenty of these types of situations in your decades of work with the Guardian Angels. So do you see this approach working? You're not a police officer, but you've helped out in situations.
Zohran. Boy, another fantasy that's not reality. Eugene, Oregon. Have you ever been to Eugene? I've been to Eugene. Come on.
About to lecture him.
This is New York City.
He's about to tell him what's what.
We have so many emotionally disturbed persons that are in need of help. I will tell you this, Andrew, you closed the...
Unfortunately, this is probably a pretty compelling pitch to a lot of people, because if you've ever been to New York City, I mean, is what he's saying untrue? He's like, Zohran, I know that you're trying to be, nice and progressive or whatever, but here's the reality. There's a bunch of fucking crazy people here.
The mental health beds that were taking care of them. 40,000 when you came into office, down to...
You know what I'm talking about.
4,000 because of your cuts, which forced these people to live in the streets, in the parks, and the subways. These people need to be removed. They need mental health care. We need to make our shelters safe. I've been in 1/3 of the 300 shelters run by the Department of Homeless Services. It's Darwinian there, survival of the fittest. If we can make our shelter system safe, we can get men and women who are homeless in there, especially veterans who we're not giving any attention to, who we put out in Ward's Island at 10 o'clock at night, released during the day, don't give any training, have them roam about, and obviously when you have nothing to do...
Like, again, ways that he's just like subtly outflanking Cuomo, even in the lane that they're trying to occupy as like moderate/conservative. I mean, straight up conservative in his instance. He's like thinking to bring up things that Cuomo is not even remembering to bring up. Like, how bad does it look for Cuomo that he can remember to bring up fucking Hasan Piker twice, a literal Twitch streamer trying to complain that like Zohran Mamdani hasn't fucking disavowed October 7th. But Sliwa's over here not bringing shit like that up, not bringing up terminally online bullshit, and talking about like veterans, talking about like the actual kitchen table issues, not the kitchen table issues of Hasan Piker.
You end up getting into trouble. Okay. This is a disastrous, homeless, and emotionally disturbed plan that we have in New York City. And I'm the mayor that can change it because I deal with them every day in the streets, in the parks, and the subways.
Okay, Mr. Cuomo, do you think that the NYPD handles these calls for emotionally disturbed people?
What does Curtis do on a day-to-day basis that like allows him to fucking take care of 17 cats and also pay $3,900 in rent every month?
People in distress. Well, is there room for something in the middle?
Yeah, I think the Assemblyman deals in theory. There's an advantage when you actually have experience. I've run homeless programs. I ran the homeless programs for the federal government. I worked with cities all across the nation. When you get a call on a telephone about a mentally ill person who may be violent, It is a very dangerous situation. And I think you should have a mental health worker accompanied with a police officer, because these can be explosive situations. I have been in situations that seemed apparently calm and fine and then erupted into violence very quickly.
Okay, this is insane. That can literally be said of any single conflict that ever occurs anywhere in New York City. There is always the chance that a situation could escalate from a verbal dispute to a physical altercation to something involving weapons and involving like more serious violence or something like that. So we're going, anytime that there's a call for a domestic disturbance, even if they're saying the couple in the apartment next to me is like screaming, it's getting louder and louder, they're not stopping, like, you know, it could get worse, like that requires like a social worker and a cop be sent out to that. That sounds insane.
And it got very dangerous very quickly. So I would have a social worker with a police officer and get the people off the streets. That's the humane thing.
But that's what he said. He said on a case, and like Mamdani proposed that. He said on a case-by-case basis where where the threat of violence is imminent and being reported by the person who's making the call, then that situation would demand that. But he's saying, just as the default, you should send individual police officers with the social workers. The entire point is to make it so that police officers can actually focus on street crime and not have to respond to the mental health crisis.
Get them the care they need, not institutionalize 40,000 people again. We have supportive housing now, which is what we use, and forensic beds for people who need them.
Now, let me get this straight. A police officer is there first. He has to wait for the arrival of a mental health care worker.
No, I would send them as a team.
As a team. But that's not realistic. You're dealing with fantasy also.
All right.
The police officers are going to be the first one on this.
Oh my God, am I actually agreeing with Curtis? That's not realistic. For every single domestic disturbance to have a police officer be sent out as well as a social worker.
Okay.
And they're
like that plan is going to be way more expensive than Mamdani's if we're doing the cost analysis.
Going to have to deal with it first and foremost.
If there's a cop there, it negates the entire point of having a social. Yeah, the whole point is that the social worker is the stopgap and supposed to be the replacement public servant that goes in place of a police officer and doesn't pull them away from other types of crime that they should be patrolling or responding to.
Experience running homeless programs. What he has experience doing is cutting funding for the very programs that prevented homelessness here in New York City. As the governor, he cut funding for the Advantage program, which was putting New Yorkers who would otherwise...
Not every case, the one where there's beforehand information about the threat of violence. No, he said that things can start off testy, but then you never know, they can kind of escalate and erupt out of nowhere. But then that means that the threshold has to be really, really sensitive for what you deem to be a situation that's at high risk for being escalatory to include violence. But that could literally always be the case with domestic disputes.
Been in shelters, otherwise been homeless, into apartments. I met one of those New Yorkers.
Mr. Cuomo,
she told me how that pushed her out.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Brief response, Mr.
He's
Cuomo.
talking about a program 14 years ago. That was a pilot program that had a work requirement. It was very controversial. It was $65 million.
You're talking about Advantage, just so we know what you're talking
program.
about? Okay.
It was 14 years ago, $65 million. I added billions to the homeless budget. Funded the homeless budget larger than any governor in history.
Okay.
He cut that program. Homelessness skyrocketed
Mr. Mamdani, we have aired
It
this
was 14 years ago.
All right.
It was during the Bloomberg administration. And yes, okay.
Okay. I want to ask you about climate change. As New York City confronts the impact of climate change, one issue already on the desk of the next mayor is Local Law 97. Passed in 2019, the law requires large buildings to gradually reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. That may require very expensive upgrades to buildings, which some landlords and co-op owners say they just simply can't afford. We're wondering how each of you would enforce the law. You have 30 seconds. Mr. Cuomo.
Local Law 97, I support. Implementing the law is going to be the key, because it has to be done in a way that isn't so disruptive to businesses and residences that they just give up and pay the fine and don't even try to comply, which is what is going to happen now. It will be cheaper for them to pay the fine than comply. And that obviously will accomplish nothing. So, yes, I support the law. Yes, we have to implement it, but we have to implement it in a way that is feasible.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Sliwa?
Local 97 will destroy those people who have invested in co-ops and condos. There's 100,000. It's forcing them to electrify. Now, you, Andrew Cuomo, took Indian Point offline, 25% of our electrical capacity with no replacement, which has caused skyrocketing electricity bills. And now we're going to force condo and co-op owners to electrify. Maintenance fees will go up 30%.
Will
These
someone
people will be
please
leaving
think of the condo owners, Curtis's?
Their condos and co-ops. They need relief. When I'm mayor, I slow that process down. We need our co-op owners and condo owners to stay here in New York City and not flee.
Indian Point? Yeah. Indian Point was started before me. It was a very dangerous situation. We have nuclear facilities upstate, and my proposal and what I did is run cables from the nuclear facilities upstate to bring the power to downstate. Indian Point had 20 million people in the kill zone.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Mamdani, local law 97, how would you enforce the law as mayor?
I support the law, and I would also make it easier for condo and co-op owners to comply with the law, because what I've heard from so many is that it's cheaper to pay the fine than to actually get into compliance. And I think the city has a role here.
Okay, Mamdani clearly rehearsed this answer because it actually does sound like he's copying Cuomo, because he gave a really, really similar answer. But I didn't even disagree with what Cuomo said at this point or whatever, which is that, like, yeah, if you don't give them time to like over a period of X number of years to be in compliance with the law or whatever, they just will ignore it and pay the fine.
Here in procurement at a large scale of so much of what is necessary in these infrastructure investments. We've seen it be done in the Clean Energy Challenge within NYCHA. It's time to do it right here in New York City to assist those condo and co-op owners in meeting the standards we desperately need to hit.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parades, and the mayor is often front and center. You have all said that you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers. So will you march in all the parades that mayors have traditionally marched in, or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
I think a mayor has a responsibility, whenever possible, to march in.
What is this question?
You have all said that you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers. So will you march in all
we're at the end. Why is this like one of the closing questions?
Parades that mayors have traditionally marched in?
Will you march in all the parades that mayors have traditionally marched in? How many parades and marches are happening in New York City?
Or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
Okay.
I think a mayor has a responsibility, whenever possible, to march in parades, to celebrate whatever that parade is performing at. I've been a Grand Marshal of the Pulaski Day Parade. I was proud to celebrate my Polish heritage. Are there any that you would
boycott, though? I just need to move this along.
Excuse me?
Would you boycott any?
Why ask this stupid question? You're getting an equally stupid response. And then she's like, can you answer about the boycott, though? We need to move it along, Curtis.
Of the city's parades?
No, I would not boycott any parades.
Mr.
It's a mayor's responsibility to be
it's a mayor's responsibility to go to every single parade, you see.
Available to all racial, ethnic, and religious groups.
No, I wouldn't unless they discriminated.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
There are many parades that I would not be attending because I'd be focusing on the work of leading this city.
Which parades?
A number of them. I've already missed a number.
Name the parades, Mamdani. Which parades? I think Curtis just likes parades.
Those parades, because I've been trying to speak to as many New Yorkers as possible.
Okay.
I don't have the list of all the parades I've missed.
Wow, that's a lot. The mayor should be going to all parades.
Let me ask you this. Are there any parades that don't exist that you think should? Mr. Mamdani?
What parade? What? Who comes up with these?
I haven't thought much about parades.
Will you or will you not commit to attending the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade this year? Yes or no? Please respond.
To be honest with you.
Mr. Cuomo?
I have not thought. I don't even know what parade doesn't exist.
Fucking Italian pride parades or something?
Or anything. Mr. Sliwa?
Every parade has the right to exist in New York City. I would ask
David?
you,
Thank you.
Mr. Mamdani, would you protect the Christopher Columbus statues that exist here in this
parades have a right to exist now?
City?
I'm telling you, my focus is on affordability. I'm not thinking about
you're not answering the question.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
You're not answering.
Parade lives matter.
He gave the finger to the Columbus Day statue.
That issue's come up.
That's what we call it, disgraziado.
Oh, okay, Mamdani probably wouldn't even go to the Columbus Day parade.
And so we thought we'd have some questions. We thought we'd have some questions that maybe give a glimpse into your life, your personality away from the political podium. What's your go-to breakfast order?
Parades have a right to exist as Jewish parades.
Bodega. Mr. Sliwa?
Oh, eggs and cheese on a roll. No salt, please.
Mr. Cuomo?
Same thing.
Wait, what is this question? Bodega order?
What's your go-to breakfast order at the bodega? Mr. Sliwa?
Oh, eggs and cheese on a roll. No salt, please.
Mr. Cuomo?
Same thing. No
Eggs,
salt
cheese on
also.
a roll.
Mr. Mamdani?
Egg and cheese on a roll with jalapenos.
No.
Have you ever purchased anything
Yum.
in a cannabis shop? And if so, what did you buy? Mr. Mamdani?
I have. I have purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop.
Okay. Mr. Cuomo?
But a legal one.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was shot 5 times, I've had Crohn's disease. I did use medical marijuana. Yes.
Okay. In a dream
And
scenario,
he's disabled. He has Crohn's disease. He speaks to disabled New Yorkers. He's a man of the people.
we know it's not possible, but the Mets are playing Game 7 of the World Series on the same night as the Knicks are playing Game 7 of the NBA Championship, and you can only go to one. Which one will it be, Mr. Sliwa?
Again, which
Very, very relatable. Okay, like he's a man with gastrointestinal issues, as many New Yorkers are dealing with. Curtis understands your struggle and lived experience.
baseball team?
This is the Mets, Game 7, Knicks, Game 7. Even.
I'm not going to the Mets game. I'm a Yankee fan. True baseball fans, either like one or the other. I'm going to the Knicks game. That's my team, the Knicks.
Mr.
Who
Cuomo?
asks this at a serious political debate? This is not a serious political debate.
I'm going to go half and half. I can make it back and forth.
All right. And Mr. Mamdani?
This is what New Yorkers are sick of. Just pick a team.
What's
Come
your
on.
answer?
I'd be there for the Knicks.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of ground covered. We'll leave it on that light note. Thank you, candidates. For
Yeah, even like the fun questions. Jesus Christ. Of course, Cuomo knows how to give the exact wrong answer. Like Mamdani pointed out, this like blatant pandering or whatever. Like he said it with a little bit of a laugh, but like it is stupid to be like, yeah, I tried to do both or whatever. And that's why he said just go with one.
spirited debate. We thank you as well. We hope you got a lot out of it. New York City viewers, New York City voters. The New York City Campaign Finance Board, we thank heartily, and we urge you to check out their website, nycvotes.org. From all of us here, we certainly thank you for watching. And remember, go vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Have a good night.
That was a really good performance from Mamdani. I think he had like he was more like energetic when it came to the primary debate, even though there were a lot more candidates on stage. But it doesn't even matter because Cuomo did so poorly in this. I actually did not think that he would perform this badly. This is who fucking BB's got repping him at the fucking ICC, dude. Maybe he will become like an actual fucking war criminal. Holy shit, because when this is your fucking defense, like Cuomo could not come up with answers on the spot to save his life. He was not doing the basic, again, like retail politician shit of talking about things that he wants to do or anything like that. All of his answers were just the shortest responses, and sometimes indirectly, to the questions being asked. He never tried to expand. He never tried to bring in additional things that, like, here's something that my campaign talks about that Zohran Mamdani doesn't talk about, or Mr. Sliwa can't address. Like, when I was governor, I did this. Like, none of that. He wasn't even standing on, like, his past record. He's literally just saying he was just on the attack the entire time, and the attacks were completely weak. I think Sliwa's going to pick up some Cuomo polling points. Cuomo did so bad. That is crazy, man. Like, yeah, like, it's obviously the clear winner is, like, Mamdani on this, but then Sliwa was, like, kind of a close second. Because he was really forceful, and there were a lot of times where, again, he was, like, more keen to hold Cuomo's feet to the fire than Mamdani was at different points. Where's the fucking, okay, I have to see, since Hasan got mentioned, like, is his reaction to this up? Do you condemn Hasan Piker?
The assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hasan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on
I don't know why he did this, man.
That is code, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which he has never denounced, globalized the Intifada, which means kill.
We begin tonight by asking you to do what every mayor dreams of.
And Hasan Piker will not condemn the Arab tier list at TwitchCon that had Frogan in it. Hold on. Hasan, I should just put condemn. So we can see why would here.
He actually
there
was
is your
pretty
recent
nice about
refusal,
it.
as we just discussed, to condemn the slogan "Globalize the Intifada," which many view as a call to arms.
But this is the real shit.
In 2017, you rapped lyrics praising the Holy Land Five. These are men who were convicted of supporting terrorism.
Focus.
How would you assure New Yorkers, especially Jewish residents who might be concerned about this, that you would be a mayor for all? You have 1 minute to answer this.
Thank you for this opportunity. When I'm speaking about the responsibility of leading this city, I mean leading not just those who voted for me, leading not just those who vote, but leading every single person who calls the city home. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers. And I have been so thankful for the opportunity I've had to sit with so many Jewish New Yorkers over the course of the primary and through the general. And it's in those conversations that I learned that this phrase evokes many painful memories. Memories of bus attacks in Haifa, of restaurant attacks in Jerusalem. And I heard from a rabbi about their roommate who was killed on one of those buses. And in hearing that and the distance between that impact and the rationale that some use of saying it, of speaking about the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land, is why I said that I would discourage this language that I do not use. And what I'm looking to do...
I don't think you should have done this, because it's just one of those things that once you capitulate on it or apologize for it, it just ends up being asked for more and more things to apologize for.
As the first
that
Muslim
he didn't even
mayor
fucking say. He was asked to condemn a thing that he literally never even said.
...of this city is to ensure that we bring every New Yorker together. Jewish New Yorkers, Muslim New Yorkers, every single person that calls this city home, that they understand they won't just be...
Like, they did the same thing where he was like, I didn't comment on it, but like, because I was looking at something, but on the debate stage, he was like, I apologize to the NYPD. It's like, you shouldn't have even done that, dude.
But they will belong.
Mr. Sliwa,
because then they were asking him to expand on that apology.
First, I'm going to ask a question of Mr. Cuomo. While you are a strong supporter of Israel, you have also been slow to develop a relationship with the city's Muslim community.
Thank you, Universal Power user, for this way to get this
a terrorist sympathizer. How do you assure those New Yorkers, especially Muslims and Arabic New Yorkers, that you will be a mayor for all? You'll have 1 minute.
Yeah, well, first, I think the Assemblyman created the perception himself. Why wouldn't he condemn Hamas? Why wouldn't he condemn Hasan Piker? Why did it take us here tonight for the first time for him to say it? He still won't denounce, globalize the intifada, which means kill all Jews. Just say, I denounce it. He won't do
older
it.
Jewish
That's
New Yorkers are looking up right now.
Can you please answer about your own relationship with the Muslim community? You did not visit mosques for many years.
So that was like the first time.
I don't think in any way the Assemblyman is representative of the Muslim community, which is a vital community in New York City, and I am very fond of and I've been working with. I think he's playing his own politics. Many of his positions don't even follow the Muslim faith, so I see them as two totally separate.
He thinks it's abandoned.
Yeah. You know, it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate.
Did he say? Yeah, he said that. That's like the second time that he said that.
Candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants.
But I wanted to see what he said after that.
They want equality and they want respect.
Like at the beginning.
And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many...
Jihad.
For exactly
Sharia law implemented in New York.
Give us one headline about what you think your biggest accomplishment will have been in year number one. We'll begin with you, Mr.
Global jihad.
First, thank you very much for sponsoring the debate and having all of us.
17 minutes is the first time.
How many characters in the headline?
Oh my God.
You're familiar with headline length.
Rent down, comma, crime down, comma, education score, comma.
Yeah, here it is.
Yes. We do have other questions on this issue that you may be able to address. Go ahead.
I did applaud President Trump and his administration. I think it was a great accomplishment. I hope the peace holds. The Assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The Assemblyman will not denounce Hasan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The Assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on occupation.
This is literally like, I remember in 2016, there were fucking cringe online MAGA Trump supporters that were like, we're going to get Trump to say like they were trying to get Trump to say memes. And the fact that Andrew Cuomo, with no actual pressure from anyone except like Jonathan Greenblatt at the fucking ADL, bringing up Hasan, like, who is he doing this for? Why is he doing this?
Meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which he has never acknowledged. That is from the river to the sea. That's why he won't denounce globalize the intifada, which means kill all Jews.
Let's give Mr. Mamdani a chance to respond to that.
I want to be very clear. The occupation is a reference to international law and the violation of it, which Mr. Cuomo has no regard for since he signed up to be Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense team during the course of this genocide.
So fucking insane. Holy shit. All right. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not following me, please go ahead and do so. That way you can know when I go live, which is Monday through Friday at varying times. As you guys can tell, I'm live at 3:33, 53 in the morning. Can't even see. If you are watching on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe to me, like the stream, pushes it out to other people, hit the bell. You can go through my past VODs. Most of them are timestamped. That way you can skip around through my segments very easy. If you want to support me, you can follow the donation links in my Twitch chat or my YouTube description box. And if you're on Twitch, the most important thing you can do is sub to me. You can use your Amazon Prime sub, gift subs throughout the chat, or just sub yourself. You will get access to cute emotes as well as an ad-free experience. I'm at Straighterade _ on everything, and I think that's going to do it for tonight. I will be back tomorrow. I don't know what time. I don't know when. But in the meantime, you guys are going to go to... Oh, wait. What's going on? What's going on? Thank you so much, Matt _ NLT, for gifting... shoot. Go away. 10 tier 1 subs to my community. I really appreciate it. And everybody who just got that, please drop your favorite emote in chat and thank @Matt NLT, who is a real one, for paying me for the hard labor of sitting through that insane fucking debate where I had to watch Zohran Mamdani not condemn Hasan Piker. Absolutely disgraceful. He didn't even condemn Straighterade. But thank you so much. And I'm sending you guys on... If you're on YouTube, you are headed over to Riverboat Jack, who is doing more Zohran v. Mamdani coverage. And if you are... watching on... Oh, he's playing games. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to give you guys, like, more politics. Let's see. Where am I sending you guys? Let's see. Well, then I guess both of you guys are headed to Riverboat. Tell her I say hi. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't know when, don't know what we're covering, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, you guys. Bye.